Please be seated. Respected dignitaries on the dais, participants of this seminar, my dear staff and students, a pleasant morning to you all. The management of Arul Anandar College and the Department of English Language and Literature feels elated to welcome you all for this one-day national seminar on reconstructing language and literature, a contemporary approach. We feel honored for your presence today from various institutions, and we render a hearty welcome to all the participants who will be presenting their papers in online and offline mode. Let the takeoff of this resourceful seminar help you to land in the destination of knowledge and learning. Amongst us, we have our erudite pilots of literature who are ready to take us into the direction towards contemporary approach in language and literature. Wish you all a fruitful journey throughout this day. With this short introduction, let me introduce our student volunteers, Mr. Pradeep, Mr. Alexander, Ms. Suvitra, Ms. Pradiksha of 2nd BA English, who will be presenting the MC. Thank you.
Romans 12:12 says, "Be joyful in hope, patient in affection, faithful in prayer." Let us all stand up for the prayer followed by Tamil Thai Valthu.
உன் சீரிழமை திறம் வியந்து செயல் மறந்து வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே.
The beauty of welcome is that it makes the one happy who welcomes and the one who is welcomed. To share this beauty, may I invite our Dr. P. Veeraswamy, Head Department of English Language and Literature, to welcome the gathering.
Respected Reverend Father Rector, Reverend Father Secretary, Reverend Father Principal, the keynote speaker, Professor Marks, Professor and Head Department of English, Pondicherry University, Dr. S. Uday Kumar, Assistant Professor and Head School of English and Comparative Literature, Madurai Kamaraj University, Dr. B. Kalidas, the Organizing Secretary of this one-day seminar, respected delegates of various institutions, learned professors of the Faculty of English Language and Literature, and my dear students, very good morning to all of you. Thank you. I'm happy to give the welcome address to this one-day national seminar on reconstructing language and literature, a contemporary approach. At the outset, I would like to welcome Reverend Father Dr. John S.J., the rector, the spiritual head of Arul Anandar College. He is a great visionary and he wants us campus more active through student-centric programs. He expects quality in all academic ventures. It is indeed a great pleasure for us to receive his blessings and wishes. I welcome Reverend Father Rector in absentia, and he has conveyed his blessings on the day. Please permit me to offer a great welcome to Reverend Father Secretary, who is very silent and has a special attention to develop the infrastructure of the institution. We all know that Reverend Father Secretary is very economic and he is ready to grant the fund for any number of programs, quality programs for the faculty as well as for the students. He is known for his availability and he animates the whole college with his presence. A happy welcome to you, respected Father. I feel privileged to welcome Reverend Father Dr. M. Anbarasu S.J., Father Principal. You all know is constantly engaged in promoting the Ignatian pedagogy. He expects quality and outcome of all our programs. Within one semester, after he assumed the office as the principal of our college, the faculty of many departments have attended the faculty development programs under his able guidance. His motto is to make the faculty more competent with in their respective domains. Under his leadership, many orientation programs, workshops, skill development and capacity building programs have been conducted for the students and thereby fulfilling the vision of the college, integrated development of rural students and empowering them for social transformation. His principle is, let us walk together so that success could be harvested. Thank you, Father, for honoring us with your valuable presence today. A sincere welcome to you, dear Father. It is my duty to welcome Dr. T. Marks, Professor and Head, the Department of English, Pondicherry University, Puducherry. My sincere thanks to you, dear sir, for having accepted our invitation amidst your packed schedule today. I'm sure your deliberations would help us to revisit and reconstruct language and literature in the digital era. A warm welcome to you, dear sir. I should acknowledge and thank the plenary speaker, Dr. S. Udayakumar, Assistant Professor and Head, School of English and Comparative Literature, Madurai Kamaraj University, in a special way for having made the process for conducting this seminar very easy with his simple approach. He usually says, ours is the university department and we have to accommodate the faculty of all other colleges. He is doing this whenever we meet him, he is always ready to help us. He is the university nominee in our Board of Studies, and I acknowledge his help for getting the acceptance of Professor Marks to this seminar. Thank you very much, sir, for your help. A special welcome to you, dear sir. I offer my sincere welcome to Dr. B. Kalidas, the organizing secretary, who has been meticulously planning all the things for the conduct of this seminar. I sincerely appreciate your commitment and cooperation, sir, towards the conduct of this seminar. I accord a genuine welcome to you, dear sir. It is my duty to give the special welcome to Dr. Dayala Krishnan and Dr. Chandra Bose for your valuable presence, dear professors. I am delighted to offer a happy welcome to all my colleagues, starting from Reverend Father Ignacio John S.J., Dr. Raja, Dr. Kalidas, Mr. Chandrasekhara Pandian, Professor Glory Guruseth, Professor Dr. Johnson Stephen, Professor Keba Emmanuel, Dr. Xavier, Mr. Balakrishnan, who are very supportive always. Dear professors, this seminar is one such example for our teamwork, commitment, and cooperation. I extend a respectful welcome to you, dear professors. At this moment, I would like to acknowledge the advisory panel members, committee members, Professor Joseph Doreraj, Professor Bhaskaran, Professor Amala, and Professor Kabilan, Professor Ramasubaya for their valuable suggestions and encouragement as the advisory committee members. I feel immensely proud to welcome all the delegates who are going to offer their deliberation and make this conference an innovative, informative, and useful one. On behalf of the organizing committee, I thank you all for your active participation and presentation. A special welcome to all of you. Finally, I offer a sincere welcome to all our beloved student friends. This seminar would enlighten you with the new knowledge in teaching language and literature and learning language and literature. A hearty welcome to you, dear friends. Once again, I welcome each and every one of you. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, sir, for your cheerful words of welcome.
Perfections come out of hard work and come out of perseverance. Let me this opportunity to invite our Secretary, Reverend Father Anthony Sami S.J., who is best known for his hard work and perseverance. We welcome you, Father, to offer your felicitations.
Good morning, friends. Respected Reverend Father Principal, the resource persons, Dr. Marks and Dr. Udayakumar, members of the staff from our college and from different colleges, and my dear student friends. I am very happy to see the title of this workshop, One Day Workshop. It's something what we need. That means we are ongoing. If you see the topic, restructuring language and literature, a contemporary approach. When I saw the topic, my thought goes back, my thinking goes back to almost 40 years, 45 years, little more. Because the undergraduate program that we had at that time is how different from the undergraduate program or postgraduate program that we have today. Especially the literature students. I'm not sure whether the resource persons have gone through maybe the same structuring of the old system. Way back 1971, when I entered Loyola College for my undergraduate program, I started studying only mathematics. but you will be surprised to know I studied more literature than the literature students at the present. 2 years course, I studied 2 full detailed Shakespeare plays, Othello and Twelfth Night. Even now I can quote some of those things today. And not only that, we also had the modern prose, the modern poetry, classical poetry, and we have to study in detail 4 classical novels. Because we have to write 4 papers in English. And the literature students at that time, they have to study all the Shakespeare, classical Shakespeare plays in detail. When I say the detail, I think there's something is different. In the annotations that you have to say, the total different. Now, it's totally different. I appreciate because the times have changed. Knowledge development has taken place in a different way. The ability to acquire knowledge is from different sources also is different. Therefore, the things are changing. So we need a restructuring. And how we are going to restructure? Is it going to simply make it easy for the students, or it is to go deep into the language? That's what we have to see. And the resource person, I'm sure, is going to point out to these things, where we are going, how we are to approach these things. Within the day, we cannot do much, but we can start. We can trigger so that people start working. You are going to be tomorrow the real research scholars. Because all others, their time is getting over. But you are the future hope coming to restructure this language and then literature. And who knows, some of you become definitely some of the classical poets, writers, novelists. Why not? One of my classmates is a great novelist. He studied mathematics, but he is a big novelist. So, it's all depending upon you, how you are going to approach, how you are going to take it in today, and what steps you are going to take. I'd like to congratulate the Department of English and Literature that it has taken a step which is absolutely needed today. Therefore, the Hera Department, all the members of the staff who have organized this workshop, is my hearty congratulations to you all. May God bless you. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Father, for your blessings and appreciation.
If success is his paper, then passion for underprivileged is his pen, in which he uses compassion to the poor as the ink to write. I heartily invite our principal, Reverend Dr. Anbarase S.J., to deliver the presidential address.
Very good morning, my dear students and my dear staff members. Honorable Father Secretary and our Chief Guest, T. Marks, Head of the English Department, Pondicherry University, and Dr. Uday Kumar, Head of the Department of English and Foreign Languages, Madurai Kamaraja Universities, and other colleagues and my dear students. It's a very important occasion that we are having a national seminar on reconstructing language and literature, a contemporary approach. I am coming from the Tamil department. I am a professor of Tamil. So we are all language people. Language people, we think, or we reduce ourselves to be a teacher alone. It is not. It is not. Of course, I was going through the previous year NAC assessment report, AQR report. In your department, there are more than 20 students passed out students. Where are they? What are they? Some have gone to MA, some have gone to B.Ed. What about the others? No one knows. No one knows. This is the plight of our department. The same thing for the Tamil department also. There are one or two who have gone for higher studies. Some universities doing their MA Tamil literature, or one student is doing his B.Ed. Otherwise, no address. No address. But it is not. It is not like that. Our language is a big skill, and English is a very, very big skill. Very, very big skill that you are acquiring. And you are expected to be a trainer. There are so many companies which are looking for trainers to train their own employees in communicative language, in communication. And they want so many people. And there are 2-3 companies which are ready to take our English literature students to have some foreign collaboration with other nationalities, especially with US and other European countries. So, lot of opportunities are available in the field. But we are reducing ourselves to be a teacher. To be a teacher in either aided, we aim for aided, but we will be landing in a self-financed teacher, and we continue lamenting. We are not continuing enjoying our life, but we are, that is a story, that is a plight of our professors or our teachers. So, my dear students, our department should show some initiatives in growing in your communicative skill in English. If you speak in English in the campus, it will be sure, I am sure that others also will follow in line. It is supposed to be a English medium college, but hardly we hear English speaking among students. Even in English department, we are not able to hear in your daily conversations, we are not talking in English. That's a very sad part of it. For this, I would like to give you only 2 things. One is read more. By reading, you will be able to familiarize those expressions and try to use it in your conversation and try to use it in your writings. In that case, you are owning it and you are going to be a creator. This is my humble advice on this day. It's a very important day. Our English department has organized this seminar, national level seminar, and great people have come from Pondicherry and our university and from other places also. I really congratulate you, the department and the organizing committee and all the department professors and all the students who are volunteering and doing all this work. But don't stop with that. You also should start writing 1 or 2 papers in a simple way. In a very simple way, you can write and it should be published. I am ready to publish it in our college magazine. I want only your writings and I want you to speak in the campus. That's the only wish that I have, and I wish that this seminar will be of great help and benefit your improving the knowledge. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Father, for your encouraging words.
Now, we are happy to honor our resource persons. May I invite our Secretary, Reverend Father Anthony, to honor Dr. T. Marks, Professor and Head of English from Pondicherry University, with a shawl. Give a big round of applause. I humbly invite our principal, Reverend Dr. M. Anbarasu S.J., to honor our resource person, Dr. S. Udayakumar, Assistant Professor and Head, School of English and Foreign Languages from Madurai Kamaraj University, with a shawl and a memento. Thank you, Reverend Fathers, for honoring the dignitaries. The more you read, the more you'll know. The more you'll learn, the more place you'll go. Amongst us, we have an intellectual person who will be traveling to several places to share his erudition. To introduce our resource person of this day, may I invite Dr. B. Kalidas, Assistant Professor from the Department of English Language and Literature.
Reverend Dr. Father Secretary, Reverend Dr. Principal, resource persons of today's seminar, Dr. T. Marks, Head of the Department of English, Pondicherry University, and Dr. S. Udayakumar, Head of the Department of English and Comparative Literature, Madurai Kamaraj University. Respected HOD, Dr. P. Veerasamy, learned colleagues, and my dear students, I am delighted to introduce the resource person for this national seminar, Dr. T. Marks, Professor and Head, the Department of English, Pondicherry University. Dr. D. Marks has 20 years of teaching experience. No problem. Please. His area of specialization are drama, comparative literature, subaltern studies, and translation. He has authored 14 books in English and 2 books in Tamil. And he has edited 5 books and contributed chapters in 9 books. He has published his research articles in both national and international peer-reviewed journals and UGC-approved journals. He has successfully produced many PhD scholars. He has also organized 6 conferences and e-workshop in Pondicherry University over a period of 10 years. He is a member in Board of Studies of various colleges and universities. He has delivered his speech on various topics in 79 national and international conferences. And this national seminar is his 80th, I think so. He has organized a number of workshops and seminars and conferences at national and international levels. The moment we planned this seminar, the first name came to our mind is Dr. T. Marks. There is no any second thought. Because I had attended a workshop, so for which Dr. T. Marks was the resource person. I was so impressed by his talk, and when we approached Dr. S. Udayakumar, the head of the Department of English Comparative Literature, Madurai Kamaraj University, to invite to this seminar as one of the resource persons, we also requested him to get the consent of Dr. T. Marks as a keynote speaker for this seminar. And Sir has immediately gave his consent, and such a great man of knowledge and simplicity he is. He is a charismatic speaker, always impresses his audience with interesting facts. So we are proud of having such a personality as our today's resource person for this national seminar. On behalf of the management and the Department of English Language and Literature. We give a warm welcome to you, sir. Now the floor is yours, sir, please.
Reverend Dr. A. Anthony Swami, Father Secretary, Reverend Dr. M. Anbarasu, the principal of this reputed college, respected head of the department and convener of this workshop, Dr. P. Veerasamy, Dr. B. Kalidas, the organizing secretary of this workshop, Dr. S. Uday Kumar, my good friend and head of the Department of English and Foreign Languages, MK University, my friends who accompanied me, Dr. Dayala Krishnan and Dr. Chandra Bose, other faculty members of this college and other neighboring colleges, scholars and student friends, very good morning to you all. It's my pleasure to be here this morning to address you all on this wonderful topic, reconstructing language and literature contemporary approach. I am extremely thankful to the management of Arul Anandar College and feel honored to have been invited to this one-day national seminar on reconstructing language and literature, a contemporary approach. How are we going to deal with certain important changes that are taking place in the field of language studies and literary studies? And what would be the right kind of approach, what you call the contemporary approach to language and literature? Literature cannot be stagnant, literature cannot be stale, literature is to be very much life, and literature itself is life for many of us. Though there is a thin veneer that disconnects real life from literature and literature from real life. Sometimes literature is lifelike and life becomes literature-like in most of the occasions. So though there is a thin veneer that disconnects these two things, it's always advisable for learners of literature to treat both alike. That literature is not just a mirror of life, or literature doesn't reflect life. It rather represents life, because we are living in an age of the politics of representation. So it's not something that we perceive in reality and we are trying to record it in our textbooks. It's not something that people read and understand as a singular meaning of a text. Like our Father Anthony Swami was recollecting his own memoirs that he joined St.Xavier's long back, and how he was, when he entered Loyola College as a student, how he was made to learn literary works, though he became a part of mathematics department. Even we had teachers, I still remember, teachers who could recollect and cite some poetic passages by heart. Some 10 minutes, continuously, like the actor T. Rajendar, with a proper rhyme pattern, they will recite all the poetic passages, and that specific period has gone, and literature, instead of serving its purpose of just, giving us pleasure by reading it, by understanding it, it involves a serious politics now. As Jean-Paul Sartre rightly says, all writing is politics. HOD or a principal or a love letter one writes to the other, whatever it is, all writing is political. The way in which the moment you enter the department and sign in the register, till you leave, whatever you record, it is political, it has its own political significance. So when you consider writing as political, literary works also serve a very strong political purpose than real political essays. So that way, all our giants of literature, all our great writers, sacred writers, all these writers are subject to some kind of a change or modification or sometimes condemnation. Sometimes we resist to acknowledge these great masters of literature. For example, sometime back, there was a Shakespeare festival in London where some 4 or 5 plays were slated for performance. One such play was Othello, which Father is referring to. The Othello, when it was about to be performed, black rights activists were outside with protest slogans, Shakespeare down, down. First time the entire world listened to a kind of resistance against the unacknowledged master of literature who been rightly recognized as the father of English literature. Can you imagine somebody standing outside a theater and shouting slogans like Shakespeare down, down? And they said Shakespeare was a racist because he has molded Othello not as a white fellow but as a black African Moor. So enough undertones of racism is there in Shakespeare. We will not permit this play to be performed. That play was cancelled. The very next day there was Midsummer Night's Dream, which was about to be performed. All working class people, Marxists, factory workers, mine workers were standing outside and they again said Shakespeare down, down. The organizers were really surprised. Why Midsummer Night's Dream also these fellows are against? They said it is a middle class, it's a bourgeois entertainer. It debunks the working class. So we won't permit this play to be performed. Because Shakespeare was representing the imperial empire, the imperial class, that he is an imperial agent, so we won't permit this play to be performed. That was also cancelled. The third day, there was a performance of The Taming of the Shrew. All feminists were outside. Shakespeare down, down again. And they said Shakespeare is a male chauvinist. He is a patriarchal representative. Why should the man always tame the wife? Why not the other way? They again stopped and they stalled the performance of the Taming of the Shrew. What happens exactly when we try to search for the similarities and the positive experiences of literature, especially from canonical works like Shakespeare, or Milton, Robert Frost, Bacon, Aristotle, Plato, Seneca, all these masters? The problem is with our own homogenizing the human experiences, or I will come down to your vocabulary, by universalizing the certain human experiences. What we are doing is a grave mistake, that by universalizing human experiences, say for example the experience of King Lear as every man's experience, the experience of Hamlet as every man's experience. We always say Hamlet is every man. He is not every man. And we always claim that Othello is every man. We claim that Macbeth is every man. So he has created universal representatives of humanity, which is a myth, because by universalizing these world's experience, these writers either transcend or trespass the experiences of some groups of people or majoritarian groups of people. Their experiences are completely neglected or sometimes, pushed to triviality, that my experience becomes universal experience. So if I am hungry, I should say I am hungry. I cannot say the world is hungry. There is between these two things. When I am thirsty, I should say I am thirsty. I cannot say the world is thirsty. So this kind of realizing experiences very clearly transcended the doctrinal discourses of sex, gender, class, body, able-bodied, disabled. All these doctrinal discourses are neglected or pushed to the trash when we try to universalize human experience. So there were only two different schools, the prominent schools till the age of enlightenment. Enlightenment itself, I tell you, my dear friends, it was a product of the industry. With industrialization, what happened was man was replaced by machines. So, replacing human beings, it resulted in a kind of revolution called industrial revolution. So thousands of millions of human labor was replaced by machines, and that created an important impact on the thought processes that we reached the enlightenment age, which has its crux that with reason we can achieve whatever we want to. ரீசனால எதை வேணாலும் அச்சீவ் பண்ணலாம். ரீசன் இருந்தால் மட்டும் போதும் இந்த உலகத்தில் எதை வேணால் அச்சீவ் பண்ணலாம். தி crux of the enlightenment age of enlightenment. But what happened with the arrival of the romantics? Romanticism was the starting point of contemporaneity. Romanticism was the starting point of phenomenon. Came postmodernism. Postmodernism propelled post-structuralism. Structuralism resulted in all that the new, like trauma studies, chaos studies, post-colonial studies, disability studies, subaltern studies, cultural studies, all these medical humanities, all these new studies evolved only from this specific thing. But the basis in the Romantic movement. Why do I signal the birth of Romantic revival as the starting point for what I mean by, or what we all mean by, a contemporary approach is pure subjectivity. So till that, the age of reason, human beings were taught to follow that with reason, whatever you want, you will get it. But then there were two major strands of philosophical trends that had its own impact on literature and other disciplines, including sciences. One is an empirical approach. The other one is a rational approach. This rational approach I'll list out quicker for your easier understanding. Plato, Aristotle, till Seneca. Seneca differs from them because he was the first ever philosopher to talk about social justice, because he was not slipping into the essentialism again. Plato believed in essentialism. There is no difference between what we follow as Sanatan Dharma by the four-tier caste system. You know, one who was born from the head of the Brahmin was Brahmin, then shoulder as something, from the thighs as something, from the foot as something. Someone who could not even find a space in the body of Brahma, or branded as avarnas or outcasts. The term is very much mistakenly understood by Indian readers. O-U-T and C-A-S-T. It is not C-A-S-T-E. An outcast, caste means cast iron. You would have seen cast iron, urku. That mold. That mold is the mold which carries four-tier system. One who is not involved in the mold, in the caste, that fellow is standing outside that mold, that caste, that fabric, that structure, that framework. He is an outcast. So he was not someone who was kept outside the system. He stood outside the system because he doesn't want to recognize this four-tier system. Plato was, in Greek society, Plato was tutoring the same thing. He classified human beings as gold, silver, iron, bronze, etc. No difference at all. No difference at all. Gold people are the ruling class. The same thing only. So someone who is born great, that is why, we should challenge in contemporary times that someone is called born genius. Karl Marx says nobody on earth can be born genius, because one's aesthetic quality is not decided by, one's aesthetic sense is not at all inborn, it is a socially acquired quality. So only by showing this camphor ball and ringing the bell this way, when one practices for 1 or 2 months, anybody will do it. Same way, one who practices slogans that are recited in a temple, if one practices for a month, he will do it. If one beats an iron and makes a lethal weapon out of it, if he practices for a year, he will be an expert in it. One who designs this podium, if he knows the knack of designing the wooden logs and planks, he becomes a carpenter. It's only the quality is not in somebody's blood. It is a socially acquired quality, which Plato, like essentialist, did not agree with. He says, if you are born in the gold class, you are supposed to be a king. If you are born in the next class, the metal class, then you are supposed to be an ironsmith and goldsmith, all these intermediary. If you are born for the bronze, then you are a servile class, means you should be a slave doing menial labor and such things. Same thing you can fit into the Varnashrama Dharma of 4-tier caste system. Same thing only. So this kind of, in a philosophical tradition which sanctioned this birth-based hierarchy, which is vertical, nature doesn't have anything that is vertically ordered. Please understand. Nature doesn't know, it doesn't have any likes or dislikes. Nature doesn't love somebody and hate somebody. Nature doesn't have ups and downs. Nature doesn't discriminate humanity. Nature is horizontal. For nature, a man, a dog, a donkey, a pig, an ant, an elephant, all these things are uniformly arranged. There is horizontality only. Even in death, if somebody is lying on a deathbed for 2-3 weeks, we call them he's in a deathbed. And when he passes away, it's a natural death. It's a horizontal death, I call. When somebody hangs himself and this way, it cannot be natural. It is artificial. It is a self-invited death, which is vertical. Anything that is horizontal is natural. Anything that is vertical is cultural and also artificial, man-made. So all that you find in the shape of horizontality, verticality, that is man-made, and hence it is anti-natural. So these philosophers who are trying to talk about this verticality of gold, platinum, bronze and other things, or Brahman, Vaishya, Shudra, Kshatriya, Shudra, these kind of things, whatever is vertically arranged, that is very much anti-natural. But there were two realms of philosophical traditions in the West. One is rationalistic philosophy. What is rationalism? That is reason-based philosophy. What is this rationalism? I know what it is even before observing it. That has a very important Greek technical term that is called a priori knowledge. For example, if I look at this water bottle, even without opening it and drinking it, I know it is water. So without observing something, pre-observation knowledge is what we call rationalistic knowledge. Another strand of philosophy is empirical philosophy, to which Aristotle belongs. Plato belongs to the a priori knowledge, rationalistic. What is soul? I know what is soul. Explain it. I don't know how to explain it, but I believe in a soul. It is somewhere, I can refer to my consciousness as soul. I can refer to my heartbeat as soul. Something that I refer to, but I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to locate it. Where is God? God is always defined in negation. Nobody can define him in positive terms. God is not this AC, God is not in this door, God is not wall, God is not light, God is not this. But with this many knots, you can define God. But straight away, God is so-and-so, nobody can do that. So God, self, soul, all these truth, all these things, if one claims to have known all those things, he is a rationalist. I know what is that, even before experiencing it. Empiricists do not believe in these things. They claim that they believe in an observation-based knowledge. Only after switching on the fan and when it rotates and when it gives me air, I know what a fan is. Then observation-based knowledge, a consequential knowledge. When somebody beats you, then you receive a pain on your cheek, and then you understand what pain is. It's a classic example is a candlelight. When a kid is going close to it with its fingers, even before touching it, if it stops, and if she understands that it will hurt the fingers, then it is rationalist philosophy. It is rationalism. After touching it and understanding that fire will hurt, then that is an empirical philosophy. So this, in between these two things, emerged Romanticism. Romanticists came and said, they released the thought of, they gave us the freedom of thought. What kind of freedom of thought? Freedom of subjective thought. From objective thought to subjective thought is the greatest transformation of the Romantic movement. The Romantic movement signaled the death of objectivity. They said there is no objective truth, there is no objective reality, there is no objective humanity, there is no objective self. This many, they summed up, and then they said there is no objectivity at all. For example, when there is an anecdote where an elephant was keeping its foot on the tail of a mouse, and somebody is asking whether you stand with the elephant or with the mouse. When somebody says, no, I want to be neutral, the elephant or the mouse, you are not taking sides, you claim to be neutral, your neutrality will not be appreciated by the mouse because you have already taken the side of the elephant by not supporting the mouse. So this kind of neutrality is a myth. This subjectivity is a myth. That is what Desmond Tutu was trying to say, that this neutrality is an injustice. This neutrality is violence. Sometimes, your silence itself is very much violent. At times we should speak what we should speak, failing which that sign of silence itself is violence only. So what happened with Romanticism, when they gave freedom of subjective thought, whatever one feels like expressing, he or she should express it. The nobility of the common man, when Bible got into the hands of ordinary people with the advent of printing press, all common people started reading the Holy Bible. All common people, started reading instead of listening to the interpretations given by the priest in a church. So what happened with democratization of Bible? Everybody started getting the teachings of Christ. Everybody knew that Jesus Christ was not just an apostle of peace, but also a revolutionary by running a parade with donkeys against the great Roman Empire. So he was a rebel. He was a rebel. He was not people always think that he's a sacrificial martyr. He's not just a sacrificial martyr. He was a rebel. He was a revolutionary. He was a social rebel. And he tried to stand against the established norms and tenets of the society by propagating the gospel of peace. So many things are going on in that period, and Romanticism got with three important things. One is democratization of the divine text Bible. Again, democracy itself was established in Britain, and the French Revolution, which came out with the cry, liberty, equality, fraternity. So with these magical bandwagon terms, Romanticism, especially Wordsworth-like poets, they started saying that thou art a blessing. Oh, breeze, thou art a blessing. They found joy, they found the essence of living from the leaves that are dancing for a wind, the dewdrop that is dancing on a blade of grass and disappears immediately, the rainbows that appear on the sky. What all kids will enjoy in their innocence, the grown-ups also draw some kind of inspiration from such the so-called trivial, ignorable, negligible objects and living experiences. So what happened with these living experiences? Everybody started expressing their own experiences instead of putting it in a frame of classicism. So இது ஒரு எழுத்து ஒரு கவிதை எழுதணும்னா இந்தந்த மாதிரியான சந்தங்கள் இருக்கணும், இந்தந்த மாதிரியான இடைவெளிகள் இருக்கணும், இந்தந்த மாதிரியான ரைம் பேட்டர்ன்ஸ் இருக்கணும், இந்த மீட்டர் இருக்கணும், இது மாதிரியான கிராமட்டிக்கல் ஃப்ரேம் ஒர்க் எல்லாம் தகர்த்துட்டு எனக்கு என்ன என்னுடைய ஸ்பான்டேனியஸ் ஓவர்ஃப்ளோ ஆஃப் பவர்ஃபுல் ஃபீலிங்ஸுங்கிற ஒரு மேஜிக்கல் ஸ்லோகன் இருக்குல்ல, எனக்கு அருவி போல் என்ன கொட்டுதோ அதையெல்லாம் நான் அதில் எழுதுவேன். அதை நீங்கள் கவிதை என்று ஒத்துக்கொண்டால் படிங்க, இல்லைன்னா பிடிக்கலன்னா விட்டுப்போங்க. இந்த ஒரு லெவல் ஆஃப் propagating in this kind of a revolutionary stand against the established classical framework of poetry itself was a revolution. That revolution signaled the birth of phenomenology. Phenomenology குள்ள போகும்போது Husserl and Immanuel Kant is rightly called the father of phenomenology. He says, you say that there is an interference of a laboratory, there is an interference of the instruments, இதெல்லாம் வச்சு தான் இந்த கெமிக்கல் ரியாக்ஷனை நாங்கள் செக் பண்ணுவோம், இந்த ஃபிசிக்கல் ஆப்ஜெக்ட்ஸை செக் பண்ணுவோம். இட்ஸ் ஆல் ரைட். பட் நீங்கள் யாராவது ஒரு கணம் இது எல்லாத்தையும் அப்சர்வ் பண்ணக்கூடியது, இந்த மரம்னா என்ன, அந்த மரத்தை பார்க்குறோம், பட் இந்த இலை இந்த பச்சை இதெல்லாம் பார்த்துட்டு சொல்கிறோமே தவிர, காற்று அடிக்கும்போது ஒரு விதம், மழை பெய்திருக்கும்போது ஒரு விதம், இதெல்லாம் எக்ஸ்டர்னல் ஃபேக்டர்ஸ். There is the most important internal factor. Without the interference of your mind, you cannot perceive anything in this world. இந்த யூனிவர்ஸில், இந்த பிரபஞ்சத்தில் ஒரு மரமாகட்டும், ஒரு எறும்பாகட்டும், ஒரு மனிதனாகட்டும், மனித அனுபவங்களாகட்டும், இந்த மூளை என்று சொல்லக்கூடிய, இந்த பிரஜை என்று சொல்லக்கூடிய, இந்த சிந்தனை என்று சொல்லக்கூடிய இந்த மைண்ட், இதனோட இன்டர்ஃபியரன்ஸ் இல்லாமல் ஒரு ரியாலிட்டியை ஒரு அயோட்டா கூட உங்களால் புரிஞ்சிக்க முடியாது. அதனால தான் வாட் இஸ் வெரி மச் குட் ஃபார் யூ மே பி வெரி பேட் ஃபார் மீ. What is orderly for you may be chaotic for me. What is chaotic for you may be orderly for me. ஒருவன் போரில் ஒருத்தனுக்கு ஒருத்தன் வெட்டிட்டு சாகுறான், ஒருத்தனுக்கு ஒருத்தன் சுட்டுக்கிட்டு சாகுறான். அந்த போர்க்களத்தில் ஒரு வயதான பெண்மணி அங்கே உட்காந்து பிரெட் அண்ட் பட்டர் விற்றுக்கிட்டு இருக்கிறா, ஒயின் விற்றுக்கிட்டு இருக்கிறா. அவளை பொறுத்தளவில் இந்த as long as the war continues, her livelihood options are open. போர் நின்ன உடனே எல்லாருக்கும் மகிழ்ச்சியாக இருக்கும், அவள் சந்தோஷமாக இருக்க மாட்டா. வாட் இஸ் யுவர் ஹாப்பினஸ் மே டர்ன் டு பி an utter chaos for somebody else. So what is beautiful for you may also turn out to be a very ugly creature for somebody else. அதனால தான் சில பேருக்கு இந்த நம்ம ஊரில் ரயில் பூச்சின்னு ஒன்று சொல்லுவோம், அந்த இதிலெல்லாம் உட்காந்துருக்கோம், அதை பார்த்தாலே ரொம்ப அருவருப்பாக சில பேர் ஃபீல் பண்ணுவாங்க. பட் அதை ஃபோட்டோகிராஃபி எடுத்து ப்ரைஸ் வின் பண்ண ஆட்களும் இருக்காங்க. ஸோ தி ஈஸ்தட்டிக்ஸ் டிஃபர்ஸ், the aesthetic condition differs. Maybe with our familiarity to an object for a prolonged time, it disturbs our aesthetics. ஒரு ரோஸ் ஃப்ளவரை ஒரு நாள் இப்படி நம்ம இப்படி ஒரு ஆளுக்கு இப்படி கொடுத்தோம்னா, the beauty lies exactly on the flower. டெய்லி பேசிஸில் டெய்லி ஒரு ரோஸ் வந்துட்டே இருந்தாக்கா, we will consider that rose not as a rose but as a simple object, like the way in which we are using tissue papers and throwing it. அதை வாங்கி இப்படி போட்டுட்டு போயிட்டே இருப்போம். இந்த பொலிட்டிஷியன்ஸ்லாம் பார்த்துருப்பீங்க, ஒரு பொக்கே நமக்கு கொடுத்தா அது வீல் ப்ரிசர்வ் இட், வீல் டேக் இட் ஹோம். எவ்ரிடே 100 பொக்கேஸ் வந்தாக்க தூக்கி இப்படி போட்டுகிட்டே இருப்போம், வாங்கி இப்படி போட்டுகிட்டே இருக்க வேண்டியது தான். இந்த ஃபெமிலியாரிட்டி ப்ரீட்ஸ் கண்டெம்ப்ட்ங்கிறதே அதுதான். So what is celebrated in literature till the Romantic Revival was something that is temporary. The temporariness gives life to human experiences. எந்த இருந்தாலும் அமரத்துவம் என்பது டெம்பராலிட்டியிலிருந்து மட்டும்தான் வர முடியும். அது நம்முடைய சைல்ட்ஹுட் டேஸாக இருக்கலாம். நம்ம எத்தனை பேர் நம்மளுடைய சைல்ட்ஹுட் ஃபோட்டோகிராஃபை எடுத்து பார்த்துட்டு நல்ல அழகாக தான் இருந்திருக்கிறேன் சின்ன வயசில் அப்படின்னு பார்த்து ரசிக்கிற ஒரு தன்மை இருக்குது. திரும்ப திரும்ப அந்த ஆல்பம் எடுத்து நான் கொஞ்சம் சின்ன வயசில் நல்லா இருந்திருக்கிறேன். இன்னும் சில பேர் ரெயின்போஸ் வந்தாக்கா டக்குன்னு கூட்டிகிட்டு வா, இங்கே பார் வானவில் வந்திருக்குன்னு எத்தனை பேரை காட்டுறோம். இன்னும் சின்ன வயசில் ரேர் ஃப்ளைட் மூவ்மெண்ட்ஸ் வேறு தேர், அப்போ ஃப்ளைட்டுன்னு ஒரு சவுண்ட் வந்தாலே கூட்டிகிட்டு வந்து ஃப்ளைட் போகுதுன்னு காப்போம். இப்போ யாரும் காட்டுறது இல்லை, பிகாஸ் இட் இஸ் அ டெய்லி எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் ஃபார் us. அது மாதிரி தான் அந்த ஒரு புல் மீது இருக்கக்கூடிய அந்த பனித்துளி அது திடீர்னு காணாமல் போயிடும். அதனால் ஓடி வந்து அதை பார்க்குறோம், ஃபோட்டோ எடுக்கிறோம். இந்த மாதிரி அவர் யூத், the dewdrop, the rainbow, our childhood, the blooming of a flower, all these things, as long as these experiences are temporary experiences, it gives us a wonderful experience. It makes a wonderful experience. Such experience becomes immortal. The immortal human experience lies only in the temporariness of something. Once it is permanent, யாராவது ஒருத்தன் இந்த இவ்வளவு லவ் போயட்ஸ் இருக்கான் அந்த வேர்ல்டில், எவனாவது ஒரு லவ் போயட்டு ஒய்ஃபை பற்றி லவ் போயம்ஸாக எழுதி குவிச்சிருக்கானா? But all love poets write poems only for the lady love whom they could not marry. In the temporariness is the immortal aspect of human life. Permanence, no. Nobody bothers about something that is permanent. Something இந்த பொருளுடைய விஷயத்தை நாம் இழந்து விடுவோம் என்கிற அந்த ஒரு உணர்வு இருக்குல்ல, இது நம்ம விட்டு போய்விடுமோ, நம்ம இதை இழந்து விடுவோமோங்கிற அந்த விஷயம் இருக்குல்ல, that gives us the immortal human experience. The writers, they tried to record these immortal human experiences in their writings, but then what happened with the romantic revival and phenomenology? No, what you have framed as universal objective human experience is not my experience. நீங்கள் காலையில் வந்து ஒரு பேருந்தில் அதில் ஜன்னலோர இருக்கையில் அமர்ந்து அந்த பனி கொட்டுகிற அந்த வேளையில் அப்படின்னு வர்ணிக்கிற அந்த ஒரு எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் இருக்குல்ல, அந்த காலை பொழுது, அது வந்து யூனிவர்சல் ஹியூமன் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் இல்லை. அது ஏதோ ஒரு ப்ரிவிலேஜ்டு செக்ஷனில் ஒருத்தனுக்கு அந்த ஜன்னலோர இருக்கை கிடைச்சு அவன் வந்து எந்த வேலையும் இல்லாமல் படிக்காமல் புத்தகத்தை வைத்துட்டு காலேஜ் போகும்போது அதை பார்த்து ரசிக்கும்போது ஒரு கவிதை எழுதும்போது அது வந்து ஒரு எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ், அவ்வளோதான். அந்த எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் இல்லைன்னு மறுத்து விட முடியாது. பட் தட் இஸ் நாட் அ யூனிவர்சல் ஹியூமன் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ். பிகாஸ் அதே வேளையில் நீங்கள் ஜன்னலோரம் உட்காந்து இயற்கையை ரசித்து அந்த கல்லூரிக்கு போகிற அதே வேளையில் உங்களுடைய சக தோழியோ தோழனோ அவங்களோட வீட்டில் எழுந்து மாட்டு தொழுவத்தில் உள்ள சாணியெல்லாம் இது பண்ணிவிட்டு அந்த பால்லாம் கறந்து கொடுத்துட்டு அந்த மாட்டையெல்லாம் குளிப்பாட்டிட்டு நீங்கள் இந்த ஜன்னலோர இருக்கையிலிருந்து இயற்கையை ரசித்து போகிற அதே நேரத்தில் அதே கால இதில் இன்னொருத்தனுக்கு இன்னொரு விதமான ஒரு பேரலல் சிமிலர் பட் எக்ஸ்க்ரூஷியேட்டிங் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் இருக்கும். அந்த எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸஸை எங்கே என்கிற அந்த கேள்வி இருக்குல்ல, that is where phenomenology disturbed everybody. So what is your problem? The problem is when you acknowledge Shakespeare, Milton, all classical giants as literary expressions, the models of literary expressions, what you have done is you have transcended the ordinary human experiences which was put forth by Wordsworth. ஏன் காமன் மேன்ஸ் லாங்குவேஜை யூஸ் பண்ணணும்னு வேர்ட்ஸ்வர்த் சொல்கிறான்? யூ ஆர் ட்ரைங் டு எலிவேட் ஹியூமன் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்சஸ் பை அன் எம்பலிஷ்ட் லாங்குவேஜ். எல்லாத்தையுமே வரம்பு மீறிய ஒரு மொழிக்குள்ளே வச்சுக்கிட்டு அப்படியே ஒரு மாயாஜாலத்தில் பண்ணிக்கிட்டே இருக்கிறீங்களே. இந்த அடித்தட்டில் இருக்கக்கூடிய ஒரு மனிதன், ஃபார்மர் ஹூ இஸ் ப்ளவிங் த ஃபீல்ட் and he has his own experience. இன்னைக்கு வந்து அவன் ஒரு உழவு எந்திரத்தை வச்சுக்கிட்டு அந்த ஏர் கலப்பையை வச்சுட்டு 2 ஏக்கர் ஒரே கோட்டில் போகிறான். உங்களுக்கு ஸ்கேல் தரேன், பென்சில் தரேன், அல்லது ஒரு ஷார்ப் எட்ஜ்டு வெப்பன் தரேன், நீங்கள் மேத்தமேட்டிக்கல் ப்ரிசிஷனோட இந்த 2 ஏக்கர் அப்படி நேராக ஒரு கோடை போட்டுருங்க. போட முடியுமா? Then where is that human experience? சரி, அந்த எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸை தான் எழுதலை. 16,000 farmers committed suicide. எப்போ 2008 இருந்து 2023 வரைக்கும் 16,000 ப்ளஸ் farmers in India committed suicide. ஒரு நாட்டில் விவசாயத்தை பின்புலமாக கொண்ட ஒரு நாட்டில் 16,000 விவசாயிகள் தற்கொலை செய்து கொள்கிறான். அதை பற்றி ஒரு நாவலிஸ்ட் கூட எழுதலை, ஏன்னா அவங்களுக்கு அதுக்கு நேரம் இல்லை. ஆல் அவர் நாவலிஸ்ட் ஆர் பிஸி ரைட்டிங் அபவுட் their own experiences, here and there. ஒரு superficial human experience they are trying to construct through their works. அங்கங்கே நிறைய கேங் ரேப்ஸ் நடந்தது. thousands of tribal and peasant women were paraded naked and raped, gang raped by the elite men. Nobody bothered to write about it. எந்த விதமான ஒரு குற்ற உணர்ச்சியும் இல்லாமல் ஒரு மேம்பட்ட ஒரு எலிட்டிஸ்ட் ரைட்டிங்கை செலிப்ரேட் பண்ணிகிட்டே இருந்த இந்த நாட்டில் முதல் முறையாக ஒருத்தர் மேனுவல் ஸ்கேவெஞ்சிங்கை பற்றி ஒரு நாவல் எழுதுகிறாரு, தி அன்டச்சபிள் பை முல்க்ராஜ் ஆனந்த். ஆனால் அவர் அந்த நாவலில் ஒரு மேனுவல் ஸ்கேவெஞ்சரை பற்றி எழுதவே இல்லை. அதுதான் அதனுடைய ட்ராஜடி. அவன் உட்காந்து ஏதோ பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கிறான். கடைசியில் he converts him into a Gandhian because he was writing the novel sitting in Sabarmati ashram of Gandhi. Gandhi himself edited the whole thing and 120 பக்கத்தை கிழிச்சு வெளியே போட்டுறாரு காந்தி. அப்போ ஒரு விதமான ஒரு ஹிஸ்டோரியோகிராஃபி இஸ் கன்ஸ்ட்ரக்டட் இன் லிட்ரேச்சர் post phenomenology age. There was an erasure of border between literature and historiography. Literature turned out to be history and history turned out to be literature. இந்த danger எங்கே வரும் அப்படின்னா, when we accept that Mulkraj Anand is untouchable, is an untouchable, there starts the exact problem. அப்போ அவரை காந்தியே கிண்டல் பண்ணுறாரு. நீங்கள் பாக்கான்னு ஒருத்தனை க்ரியேட் பண்ணியிருக்கீங்க, ஒரு மேனுவல் ஸ்கேவெஞ்சரை, பட் he doesn't look like a manual scavenger, he looks like a Bloomsbury intellectual அப்படின்னு கிண்டல் பண்ணுறாரு. ஏன்னா முல்க்ராஜ் ஆனந்த் அப்போ தான் மார்க்சிஸ்ட் ப்ளூம்ஸ்பெரி ஸ்கூல்லேருந்து இங்கே வர்றாரு. அங்கே வரைக்கும் மார்க்சிஸ்டாக இருக்கார், ப்ரோக்ரெசிவாக இருக்கார். இங்கே வந்த உடனே காந்திகிட்ட போன உடனே கொஞ்சம் கன்சர்வேட்டிவாக பேக்வேர்ட் ஆகிடுறாரு. Gandhi himself was the unacknowledged figure of the father of India. இன்னைக்கு வரைக்கும் nobody knows when, where, who called him the father of India. Nobody knows in India. Somewhere somebody called him and we all continued and it found place in the textbook. The same Gandhi பற்றி ஒரு 4-5 இது சொல்லுவாங்க, for a man of simplicity அப்படின்ட்டு. Wherever he traveled only in third class train, the second class, what you call the non-AC ordinary man's compartment. அப்படின்னு ஒரு ஹிஸ்டரியோகிராஃபி இருக்குது. இன்னைக்கு சொல்கிற ரெக்கார்ட் பண்ணிக்கிங்க. Wherever he traveled in second class, non-AC, ordinary compartment only. It's truth, it's fact. But the whole 72-seat compartment, Gandhi was the only one who traveled. Nobody was permitted to co-travel with Gandhi. இது ஒரு உண்மை. அந்த என்டையர் கோச் அவருக்கு தான், அவர் மட்டும்தான் இருப்பார், யாருமே இருக்க மாட்டாங்க, சக பயணிகள் இல்லாமல் போகிறது. ஏர்வாடா பிரிசனில் ரொம்ப கஷ்டப்பட்டார்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. ஏர்வாடா பிரிசனுக்கு எடுத்து செல்லப்படவே இல்லை காந்தி. அங்கே இருக்கக்கூடிய அகா கான் பேலஸில் தங்க வைக்கப்பட்டார். இந்த அகா கான் பேலஸை ஏர்வாடா பிரிசன்னு சொல்கிறாங்க. அவர் பிரிசனுக்கு போனதே இல்லை, எழுதி வச்சுக்கோங்க. He visited my place, திருநெல்வேலி. அங்கே சுப்பிரமணியா பிள்ளை அப்படின்னு ஒரு முனிசிபல் சேர்மன் இருக்கார். அவர் வீட்டில் தங்குறாரு டெம்பரரியாக, ஒரு 2 day ஸ்டே தான். அந்த 2 day ஸ்டேக்கு அவருடைய மாடியில் ஒரு டெம்பரரி மேக் ஷிஃப்ட் டாய்லெட் வாஸ் கன்ஸ்ட்ரக்டட் அண்ட் த ஹோல் அப்பர் ஃப்ளோர் வாஸ் லைட் வித் மார்பிள்ஸ். இதெல்லாம் செஞ்சுட்டு அதில் ஹைலைட் ஒன்று, அவர் எப்போவுமே மார்னிங் அவரோட, ஐ டோன்ட் நோ ஹவு மெனி ஆஃப் யூ ஆர் ஃபெமிலியர் வித் இஸ் ஃபுட் ஹேபிட்ஸ். மார்னிங் ஒரு கிளாஸ் கோட் மில்க், ஒரு கப் பீனட்ஸ் அண்ட் கிரேப்ஸ் இருக்குல்ல, கிரேப்ஸ் ஸ்ப்ரிங்கிள்டு வித் குளுக்கோஸ், இதை சாப்பிட்டு வர்றது தான் அவருடைய மார்னிங் மெனு. அவரோட ஃபுட் எக்ஸ்பென்சஸ்லாம் டேக்கன் கேர் ஆஃப் பை த ஹோல் லைஃப் டைம். காந்திஸ் ஃபுட் எக்ஸ்பென்சஸ் வேர் டேக்கன் கேர் ஆஃப் பை தி பிர்லா ஃபேமிலி, நாட் பை ஆர்டினரி ஃபேமிலி. பிர்லா ஃபேமிலி ஒருத்தருடைய ஃபுட் எக்ஸ்பென்சஸை டேக் கேர் பண்ணுதுன்னா எவ்வளோ சிம்பிளான ஃபுட்டாக இருக்க முடியும்னு நீங்களாம் நினச்சிக்கணும். அது அவர் வராரு. அவருக்கு அந்த ஆட்டு பால் வந்து களக்காடு பகுதிகளில் இருக்கிற ஆடு தான் அதிகமான பால் கறக்கும்னு அங்கேருந்து ஒரு ஆட்டை வந்து ஸ்பெஷலாக இயர்மார்க் பண்ணி, அந்த ஆட்டுக்கு பேரே காந்தி ஆடுனே பேர். 85 ரூபா. 85 ரூபா. அந்த காலகட்டத்தில் ஒரு டன் ரைஸ் வந்து 15 ரூபா. ஒரு சவரன் கோல்டு வந்து 22 ரூபா. அவருக்கு வாங்கின ஆடு எவ்வளவு? அவரை வந்து சிம்பிள் மேன், ரொம்ப சிம்பிளான ஆள் அவர், வெரி சிம்பிள் மேன். அதனால தான் அந்த நம்ம சரோஜினி நாயுடு சொன்னாங்க, இந்த டு மெயின்டைன் அண்ட் ரீடைன் தி சிம்பிள் ஸ்டாச்சர் ஆஃப் காந்தி, தி பார்ட்டி ஹேட் டு ஸ்பெண்ட் crores and crores. ஒருத்தரை சிம்பிளாக காட்டுறதுக்கு நாங்கள் செலவு பண்ண செலவு இருக்க அப்படின்னு ரொம்ப வருத்தப்பட்டு அந்த அம்மா சொன்னாங்க. இது மாதிரியான வரலாறுகள், இலக்கியத்தின் வாயிலாக வரக்கூடிய வரலாறுகள், முல்க்ராஜ் ஆனந்த் மாதிரியான ரொமான்டிசைஸ்ட் வெர்ஷன் ஆஃப் மேனுவல் ஸ்கேவெஞ்சிங். ஒரு மேனுவல் ஸ்கேவெஞ்சர் சரண்குமார் லிம்பாலேன்னு ஒரு ஒர்க் இருக்குது, அதை தயவு செஞ்சு படித்து பாருங்கள். அதில் அந்த அம்மா வந்து ஒரு மாட்டுக்கு பின்னால் இப்படி பேசிட்டே போவாங்க. அந்த மாடு எப்படா சாணி போகுமோ அப்போல்லாம் தன்னுடைய சேலையில் அதை டக்கு டக்கு டக்குன்னு வாங்குவாங்க. வாங்கிட்டு போய் அதெல்லாம் கரைச்சி அந்த தண்ணியில் இது பண்ணிவிட்டு, அந்த அன்டைஜஸ்டட் கிரெயின்ஸ் ஃப்ரம் அ கவு டங்க், மாடு சாப்பிட்டு சாணத்தில் இருக்கக்கூடிய ஜீரணமாகாத தானியங்களெல்லாம் அப்படி தனியாக எடுத்துகிட்டே போவாங்க. எடுத்துகிட்டு போய் அதில் ஒரு கஞ்சி காய்ச்சி அந்த பிள்ளைங்களுக்கு கொடுப்பாங்க. இன்றைக்கும் நீங்கள் சென்னை போங்க, there is a chowmein, there is a dosa corner, there is pizza corner, there is a charging station, all kinds of sophisticated things are there in Central Railway Station. At the same time, you can see somebody else wearing a blue jacket, with a small tin sheet. She'll scoop off the human shit from the railway tracks. In the dichotomy இருக்குல்ல, இந்த dichotomy was supported by a majoritarian system. This dichotomy was supported by the vertical system. This dichotomy was supported by or represented by the writers of India continuously. That is one reason. This is an observation based knowledge, and the observation I am revealing it. Charles Dickens was writing about the condition of the poorhouses. காலையில் ஆர்ஃபனேஜஸில் இன்ஸ்டெட் ஆஃப் பேதிங் இண்டிவிஜுவல் பேபிஸ், ஒரு குழந்தையும் அங்கங்கே அப்படியே மலம் கழித்து கிடக்கும். ஒரு விளக்குமாரை வச்சுக்கிட்டு அப்படியே அந்த பேபிஸ் வெந்நீரை ஊற்றி அப்படியே அந்த ஹாலில் ஊற்றிட்டே அப்படி பேபிஸை தள்ளி விட்டுவாங்க. அப்படியே ஒரு விளக்குமாரில் ஒரு அடி அப்படி தள்ளுவாங்க. இது வந்து குவீன் விக்டோரியான்னு ஒரு பெரிய ஒரு ராணியார், தெரியல அவங்களுக்கு, நாட்டை ஆளக்கூடிய ஒரு ராணியாருக்கு தெரியல. Hundreds of newborn kids perished. Charles Dickens was writing all these things. இந்த நாவல் ஏற்படுத்திய தாக்கத்தில் குவீன் விக்டோரியா ஆர்டர்ட் த க்ளோஷர் ஆஃப் ஆல் தீஸ் போர் ஹவுசஸ். இட் ரிசல்டட் இன் அ மேசிவ் சோஷியல் சேஞ்ச். ஒரு மிகப்பெரிய சமூக புரட்சியை சார்ல்ஸ் டிக்கன்ஸுடைய எழுத்துக்கள் பதிவு செய்திருக்கிறது, ஏற்படுத்தி இருக்கிறது. அந்த மாதிரியான ஒரு சமூக மாற்றத்தை இவருடைய முல்க்ராஜ் ஆனந்துடைய அன்டச்சபிள் செய்திருக்கிறதாங்கிற கேள்விதான் கான்டெம்பரரி கொஸ்டின். So why should we accept Mulkraj Anand's work as a path-breaking work when it doesn't have any social impact at all? எந்த ஒரு எழுத்தும் ஒரு சோஷியல் இம்பேக்ட் கிரியேட் பண்ணால் மட்டும்தான் அது எழுத்து. அதுக்கப்புறம் இல்லைன்னா அது இட்ஸ் ஈக்குவல் டு சம் லீவ் லெட்டர் ஆர் லவ் லெட்டர் ஒன்லி. யூ ரைட் அண்ட் கீப் இட் இன் யுவர் சூட் கேஸ். ஒய் ஆர் யூ பப்ளிஷிங் இட்? When you can't represent the genuine voices of the underprivileged people, don't talk about it. Don't talk about it. So the human experiences that people are trying to talk about, people do talk about it through their songs and folk dramas and other things. The privileged experiences of privileged people got sublimated, got into, with the help of the publishing industry, it represents what we call today as contemporary literature. லாங்குவேஜ் ஸ்டடீஸ் ஆகட்டும், லிட்ரரி ஸ்டடீஸ் ஆகட்டும். இப்போ லாங்குவேஜில் வந்து காட் கிவன் மீனிங் சொன்னால், தென் கம்யூனிட்டி கிவன் மீனிங் சொன்னால், ரெண்டு மீனிங்குமே அடிபட்டு போய் நிற்கிது. இப்போது இப்போ இங்கிலீஷில் சியூடி கட்டுன்னு ஒன்று இருக்குது, தமிழ்லேயும் கட்டுன்னு ஒன்று இருக்குது ஒரு சவுண்டு. ஒருத்தன் வந்து மணமகளுக்கு தாலி கட்ட போகிறான், அவனுக்கு வந்து தமிழ் தெரியாது. அவன்கிட்ட போய் இந்த இதை தாலியை கட் அப்படின்னா அவன் வெட்டிடுவான் டக்குன்னு. ஒருத்தனுக்கு வந்து இங்கிலீஷ் தெரியாது, தமிழ் தான் தெரியும். இந்த கயிறை கட்டு அப்படின்னாக்கா என்ன பண்ணுவான் அவன்? இன்ஸ்டெட் ஆஃப் சிவியரிங் இட் he'll bind it together. ஆடுன்னு ஒரு வேர்டு இருக்குது தமிழில். அந்த ஆடுங்கிறது நம்ம இந்த அனிமல் ஆடை குடிக்கும். இன்னொன்று அந்த ஆடுறது டான்ஸுங்க. அப்போ இப்போ எங்கள் பாப்பாவுக்கு வந்து பாட்டு போட்டு நீ ஆடு ஆடுனோன்னா ஆடி ஆடி பழகிட்டே இருக்கிறோம். திடீர்னு ஒரு நாள் ரோட்டில் நின்றுட்டு இருக்கும்போது ஒரு ஆடு வருது. ஏம்மா ஜெனி கொஞ்சம் ஓரமான இல்லை ஆடு அப்படின்னோடனே ஷீ ஸ்டார்டட் டான்ஸிங். இந்த ஐ எம் கோயிங் டு த பார் அப்படின்னு சொல்கிறோம். I have to go to the bar urgently ன்னு சொல்கிறோம். If I am an advocate wearing a white shirt and black pant and with a coat, you can easily understand this fellow has to urgently go to the court, bar, advocates bar. இல்லை ஸ்போர்ட்ஸ் பர்சன் வந்து ஃபிசிக்கல் எஜுகேஷன் டிபார்ட்மெண்ட்டில் உள்ளவன்னா சிங்கிள் பார் டபுள் பார் இது விளையாட போகிறான் போல் வழி விடுங்கன்னு சொல்லலாம். பாண்டிச்சேரியில் நின்றுட்டு சொன்னீங்கன்னா அதுக்கு வேறு மீனிங் இருக்குது. இந்த ஒரே ஒரு மோனோசிலபிக் வேர்டு பா அப்படிங்கிறதுக்கு இவ்வளோ மீனிங்ஸ் வரும்போது வேர் இஸ் த வேலிடிட்டி ஃபார் தி மீனிங் மேக்கிங் ஆஃப் அ சிங்கிள் வேர்ட்? So every writing, I just for your easier understanding, I just bring in a Greek important saying which is available in our Sanskrit tradition also. We never ever enter the same river again. இதுதான் இந்த தலைப்பினுடைய சம்மப்பே இதுதான். Why should we reconstruct language and literary studies, and why should we have a contemporary approach? Because we never ever enter the same river again. ஒருத்தன் வந்து முதல் தடவையாக ஒரு ஆற்றுக்குள்ளே குளிக்கிறதுக்கு இறங்குறான். அந்த பாடி வந்து சில்லுன்னு இருக்கும், தண்ணியும் சில்லுன்னு இருக்கும், அவன் பாடியும் வில் ஃபீல் தட் சில்னஸ். திரும்ப கரைக்கு போயிட்டு சோப்பெல்லாம் போட்டுட்டு செகண்ட் டைம் என்டர் பண்ணுறான். டூ யூ திங்க் ஹீல் ட்ரா த சேம் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் ஆஃப் கெட்டிங் இன் டு த ரிவர்? நோ. Third time he is entering, do you think the same experience? So 3 times when you get into the river, you are getting 3 different experiences. Are you with me or not? Same thing happens in the case of reading a book. When I read Milton's Paradise Lost when I was in my UG, I had an experience. In my PG, I had a different experience. Now as a teacher, I have an altogether different experience. When I read it towards the end of my life, I will have another different experience. So the more you read, the more times you read a text. Every time you read a text, it gives you a different experience. So you never ever enter the same text again. So whenever we enter a text, we get a different experience. We get an altogether different experience. So human experience cannot be homogenized. என்னுடைய எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் தான் இந்த உலகத்தினுடைய ஹியூமன் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ்னு நினைத்து எழுதப்பட்ட அத்தனை நூல்களும் சவாலுக்கு உட்படுத்தப்படுபவை. So the contemporary approach challenges all these so-called great works, sacred works, canonical works. எதுக்கு இந்த மாதிரி இதுதான் சார் இந்த இதில் தலையாய நாவல் இதுதான்? How do you know it is your? இப்போ கிங் லியர்னு ஒருத்தர் இருந்தான். He has 3 daughters and he was suffering and he was struggling to marry them, all the 3 daughters. He conducts a love test, this and that. Now feudal lords are no more, kingdom is no more, we are living a very democratic life. If I have 3 daughters, I will worry only about my 3 daughters and how to get them married. Why the hell I bother about King Lear's condition? So this kind of a canonical work as the classical model of human experience is a myth and it is to be questioned. கடைசியாக ஒன்று சொல்கிறேன். இந்த மெடிக்கல் ஹியூமனிட்டிஸ், போஸ்ட் ஸ்ட்ரக்சரலிசம், ட்ராமா ஸ்டடீஸ், கேஆஸ் ஸ்டடீஸ், டிசபிலிட்டி ஸ்டடீஸ்னுடைய கோல்டன் ஸ்டேட்மெண்ட் என்ன தெரியுமா? Disability is not inability. It is not inability. It is the disabling environment that disables the able-bodied people. இப்போ ஒரு விஷுவலி சேலஞ்ச் ஸ்டூடெண்ட்டை நீங்கள் ஏன் டிசேபிள் சொல்கிறீங்கன்னா, யுவர் சிஸ்டம் இஸ் டிசேபிள்ட். You do not have a braille printer, you do not have the facility of a ramp, you do not have lift facilities, still you expect him to compete with the able-bodied people. So the system, the archaeology of your construction is violent. It is a disabling environment. You provide an enabling environment, then everybody is able-bodied only. The disability studies in the medical humanities, எப்படி கோவிட் டைமில் எல்லா இது அலோபதி டேப்லெட்ஸையும் பீட் பண்ணிவிட்டு நம்முடைய கபசுர குடிநீர், நம்முடைய நிலவேம்பு கஷாயம், நம்முடைய விஷயங்கள் எப்படி ஹெல்ப் ரெசிஸ்ட் ஆர்டினரி பீப்புள் ஃப்ரம், இவ்வளோ பேசுகிறோமே, எல்லா கம்யூனிட்டிஸ் இன் இந்தியா லாஸ்ட் இட்ஸ் மெம்பர்ஸ் ஃபார் கோவிட். எல்லா கம்யூனிட்டிஸும் அந்த 4 டயர் சிஸ்டமெல்லாம் அடி வாங்கிடுச்சு. அதில் பிராமின்ஸும் போயிட்டான், ஷத்ரியாஸ் போயிட்டான், ஷூத்ராஸ் போயிட்டான், வைசியாஸ் போயிட்டான், எல்லாம் போயிட்டான். ஒரே ஒரு கம்யூனிட்டி which had its utmost access to all human beings வந்து இந்த scavenging community. Door to door they visited and they collected garbage from every house, and they sometimes they wore masks, sometimes they had hand gloves, otherwise raw hands only. இதெல்லாம் இருந்தும் not a single, I am not mincing words, I am quoting the health ministry report, not a single member of the scavenging community got affected by COVID virus. Why? Resistance. இந்த பீஃப் ஈட்டிங் ஹேபிட், இந்த அவங்களுடைய உணவு பழக்க வழக்கங்கள், அவங்களுடைய நேச்சுரல் ஸ்லீப்பிங் பேட்டர்ன்ஸ், அவங்களுக்கு யாருக்குமே ஒருத்தர் கூட அஃபெக்ட் ஆகலை. இந்த இண்டிஜினஸ் மெடிக்கல் மெத்தட்ஸ்லேருந்து மல்டி ஸ்பெஷாலிட்டி ஹாஸ்பிட்டல்ஸ்க்கு ஷிஃப்ட் ஆகிறது இருக்குல்ல, ஒரு டாக்டர் வந்து 7 ரிப்போர்ட் எடுக்க சொல்கிறான், 7 பேருக்கும் ஒரே மாதிரி மெடிசன் எழுதுகிறான். இந்த ஹோமோஜினைசேஷன் ஆஃப் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் தான் இன்ஜஸ்டிஸ். இதை மட்டும் மனசில் வச்சுக்கிட்டாலே இலக்கியமானவர்களுக்கு ஒரு புதிய ஒரு அப்ரோச் கிடைக்கும். ஹியூமன் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸஸ் cannot be homogeneous. 6 கேன்சர் பேஷண்ட் இருக்கிறான், 6 பேருக்கும் ஒரே விதமான மருத்துவத்தை ஒரு டாக்டர் ப்ரிஸ்கிரைப் பண்ணால், இட் இஸ் a lie, it is a myth. It is a myth. Yeah, how it is a myth? Because the 6 பேருடைய bodies are different, their life experiences are different, their bodies are different. ஒரு மருந்து ஒருத்தர் பாடியில் மாதிரியே இன்னொருத்தர் பாடியிலையும் இயங்காது. So what happens? இப்போ 10 பேர் இருந்தால் 10 பேருடைய சப்ஜெக்டிவ் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸஸை பேசிஸாக வச்சு தான் மெடிசின்ஸ் கேன் பி ப்ரிஸ்கிரைப்ட். அதான் மெடிக்கல் ஹியூமனிட்டிஸ் இஸ் ட்ரைங் டு சே. ஃப்ரம் it is nothing, it's a very simple journey from the homogeneous single prescription of medicine for multiple patients to multiple prescriptions of medicines for multiple patients, because their experiences cannot be homogeneous. எல்லாருக்கும் கேன்சர் தான், ஐ அக்ரி, பட் தேர் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்சஸ் ஆர் டிஃப்ரெண்ட். ஒருத்தனுக்கு ரொம்ப மோசமான விளைவுகள் இருக்குது, ஒருத்தனுக்கு லைட்டாக இருக்குது, ஒருத்தனுக்கு வந்து வேறு விதமான சைடு எஃபெக்ட்ஸ் இருக்குது. அப்போ சப்ஜெக்டிவாக தான் நீங்கள் மெடிசின்ஸ் ப்ரிஸ்கிரைப் பண்ணணும். சேம் திங் இஸ் அப்ளிகபிள் டு லிட்ரேச்சர், அண்ட் லிட்ரேச்சர் கேவ் பர்த் டு ஆல் தீஸ் நியூ மூவ்மெண்ட்ஸ். கடைசியாக ஒரே ஒரு சின்ன விஷயம், அது தமிழ்நாட்டில் நடந்த ஒரு விஷயத்தை சொல்லி நான் நிறைவு செய்கிறேன். இந்த டிராவிடியன் ரெஜீம் சிறப்பாக இருக்கக்கூடிய இந்த தமிழ்நாட்டில் ஒரு வேங்கை வயல்ங்கிற ஒரு கிராமத்தில் லாட் ஆஃப் வில்லேஜஸ் தே ட்ரிங்க் வாட்டர், த டெய்லி வாட்டர். சடன்லி த ஹோல் வில்லேஜ் ஃபெல் சிக், சில்ட்ரன், விமென், எல்டர்ஸ் எல்லாம். Doctors advised the whole village to check the overhead drinking water tank. The tank was checked, and to the shock of the entire crew, fecal waste are dropped into the water tank. அது எப்படி பாசிபிள்ங்கிறது நம்ம விவாதிக்க தேவையில்லை. எந்த ஒரு மனிதனும் சக மனிதன் குடிக்கக்கூடிய ஒரு தண்ணீர் இல்லை, குடி தண்ணீர் இல்லை, தன்னுடைய மலத்தை கலக்கிற ஒரு வக்கரம் இருக்குல்ல, அதுக்கு வந்து யூ cannot draw examples even from the animal world. அது ஹியூமன் பீயிங்ஸ் மட்டும்தான் செய்ய முடியும். அதுவும் இந்தியன் சொசைட்டியில் இருக்கக்கூடிய கார்ல் மார்க்ஸ் வாஸ் ரெஃபரிங் டு இந்தியன் சொசைட்டி as fossil like society which never ever subjects itself to change. மாற்றத்துக்கு தன்னை உட்படுத்த துளி கூட யோசிக்காத ஒரு ஃபாசில் லைக் சொசைட்டி தான் இந்தியன் சொசைட்டிங்கிறான். ஃபாசில்னா என்னன்னு உங்களுக்கு தெரியும். அந்த மாதிரியான ஒரு சொசைட்டியில் தான் இது நடக்கும். என்னுடைய டிஸ்கஷன் அது இல்லை. வேர் ஐ வுட் லைக் டு கன்க்ளூட் இஸ், இந்த பிழைத்து கொண்ட அந்த சிறுவர்கள் இருக்காங்கல்ல, அவங்களுக்கு எஞ்சி இருக்கக்கூடிய வாழ்க்கை, அதாவது அவன் நிச்சயமாக ஒரு 10 வயசு பையன் அதை குடிச்சிருக்கான், பொழைச்சிக்கிட்டே தான் ப்ராப்ளம். இப்போது அவன் இன்னொரு 50 வருஷம் 60 வருஷம் வாழ போகிறான். உங்கள் வீட்டுக்கு வருவான். நீங்கள் அவனுக்கு தண்ணி குடிங்கன்னு தண்ணி குடிப்பீங்க. அதை ஒரு when he sips the first mouth of water which you offer to him, tell me honestly, that small boy who suffered this excruciating experience from a fellow human being, don't you think he will suspect you for a minute? இந்த தண்ணீர் உண்மையிலே தண்ணி தானா, இல்லை இதில் ஏதாவது கலந்துருக்கீங்களாங்கிற ஒரு சந்தேகத்தோடு தன்னுடைய எஞ்சி இருக்கக்கூடிய 60 ஆண்டு வாழ்க்கையை வாழ போகிறான். பார்த்தீங்களா, அதுதான் ட்ராமா. இந்த ரெக்கரிங், அந்த இன்ஸ்டன்ஸ் ஒன்ஸ் தான், ஒரு தடவை தான், ஒரு மடக்கு தான் குடித்தேன், அதோட முடிஞ்சு போச்சு. அது முடிந்து போவதில்லை. whenever I drink a cup of water, it comes back, it haunts you. இந்த ரெக்கரிங் violence, ஒருத்தன் என்ன ஒரு தடவை தாங்க கணத்தில் அடித்தான், அவனை மன்னிச்சிட்டேன், you would have forgiven him. But whenever such similar circumstances arise, you are reminded of it. In the recurring violence, the pattern of violence that revisits a person is a big question, that how are we going to treat our fellow human beings? நீங்கள் whether you believe in a vertical system or horizontal system, இயற்கைக்கு நல்லவன் கெட்டவன் பிடிச்சது பிடிக்காதது எதுவுமே கிடையாது. It has its own blessed innocence. அதே இன்னசென்ஸோட தான் human beings are also created or born. Then where from we are acquiring all these animosity, hatred, vengeance towards fellow human beings? Such systems to be corrected only through literature. When the church was corrupt, when the church was sick, literature projected it in a Terry Eagleton ரொம்ப அழகா சொல்லுவான். When England was sick, when the government failed, when churches failed, literature alone could rescue it ன்னு சொல்லுவான் பியூட்டிஃபுல்லா. இலக்கியம் மேலும் மேலும் நம்முடைய வாசிப்பு, இந்த தற்கால விஷயங்கள், மொழி நிறைய மாறி இருக்குது, இலக்கிய தரவுகள் மாறி இருக்குது, அவங்கவுங்க வாழ்க்கை எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸஸ் அவங்கவுங்க சொல்ல ஆரம்பிச்சிருக்காங்க. இப்போது இது மாதிரியான நிறைய மாற்றங்களோடு இருக்கக்கூடிய இந்த இலக்கிய பிரதிகளை தற்காலத்தில் எப்படி அதை நோக்குவது, எப்படி அதை படிப்பது, எப்படி அதை வாசித்து புரிந்து கொள்வது, திஸ் கான்டெம்பரரி அப்ரோச் இஸ் நத்திங் பட் question whatever is written or recorded by a writer in the text. இந்த எழுத்துக்களை கேள்விக்கு உட்படுத்தாத வரைக்கும் நீங்கள் அவரை அக்செப்ட் பண்ணுறீங்கன்னு அர்த்தம். அது ஷேக்ஸ்பியராக இருக்கட்டும், யாராக இருக்கட்டும். Once you subject the text to rigorous analysis, question, you will understand the nuances and the doctrinal discourses. இது ஒரு இப்போ ஷேக்ஸ்பியர் அப்படி போகிற போக்கில் ஃப்ரையல்ட்டி தை நேம் இஸ் விமன் அப்படிங்கிறான். அது என்ன சாதாரண ஸ்டேட்மெண்ட்டா? அது the worst ever statement. அந்த லாங்ஸ்டன் ஹியூக்ஸ்னு ஒரு கவிதையில் சொல்லுவான் அழகா, அவன் தன்னுடைய கருப்பு நிறத்தை அவ்வளோ அழகாக சொல்லுவான். இந்த சர்ச்சில் உட்காந்துருக்கும்போது the church is white, the pulpit is white, the priest is white, his gown is white, people are white, they are also wearing white, everything is white except me, a black person sitting in the church. I feel like a black bug sitting on a white rose அப்படின்னு அந்த கவிதையில் சொல்லிட்டே போய் கடைசியில் சொல்லுவான், இயேசுநாதரே நீர் அறிவித்தபடி மீண்டும் திரும்பி வர வேண்டும், ஆனால் ஏற்கனவே இருந்த மாதிரி ஒயிட் ஜீசஸ் கிரைஸ்டாக வரக்கூடாது, கருப்பு ஜீசஸ் கிரைஸ்டாக வர வேண்டும். அப்படி வரும்போது இந்த மண்ணில் எல்லாமே மாறி இருக்கும். ஆனால் ஒரு விஷயம் மீண்டும் நிகழும். இஃப் யூ கம் பேக் as a black Jesus Christ, everything would have changed in this world. One thing will be repeated, you will be crucified immediately. நீர் மீண்டும் சிலுவையில் அறையப்படுவீர் கருப்பினத்தவராக பிறந்து வந்தால். முடிக்கிறான்ல, அந்த வழி இருக்குல்ல, இந்த வலியை இந்த how to transport this pain from your internal subjectivity to the outternal reality, that is with the external reality, is what we are discussing today as reconstructing language and literature. This is the contemporary approach. So all these things are constructed ன்னு முதல்ல புரிஞ்சுக்கணும். லாங்குவேஜ் ஒருத்தன் வந்து சும்மா ஐ வில் கில் யூ அப்படின்னு சொன்னாக்கா, எங்கள் அப்பா வந்து என்னை டெய்லி பேசிஸில் சொல்லுவார் ஐ வில் கில் யூ, ஐ வில் கில் யூன்னு. பட் ஹி நெவர் கில்டு மீ. அவர் கொல்ல மாட்டார் எனக்கு தெரியும். பட் இட்ஸ் a word. But when I say somebody who is my enemy, I will kill you, he can arrest me. So words or diction, when it is diction, science ஆகட்டும் எதாக இருக்கட்டும், when it is diction, it is fiction. When it is fiction, it is constructed. நான் ஒருத்தனை வந்து ஐ வில் கில் யூன்னு சொல்கிறதுக்கும், அல்லது ரொம்ப மகிழ்ச்சியாக இருக்கும்போது ஒருத்தனை பார்த்து ஐ வில் கில் யூ மேன் அப்படின்னு சொல்கிறதுக்கும், பயங்கரமான கோபத்தில் நல்லாடுறா அப்படின்னு சொல்கிறதுக்கும் எவ்வளவு பெரிய ஒரு இடைவெளி இருக்குது. அப்போ the socio-cultural milieu decides the meaning of language, and such languages are interspersed throughout works of literature. அப்போ இந்த மாதிரியான ஒரு volatile situationல language studies, literary studies ரெண்டையும் அப்ரோச் பண்ணுறது, it's the most complex task of a reader. ஆதர் செத்து போயிட்டான், எழுதி வச்சுட்டு அவன் போயிட்டான். இந்த ரீடர்ஸ் வந்து ப்ராப்பர் மீனிங் மேக்கிங் ப்ராசஸ் இல்லை. இந்த டாமினன்ட் ஹெகிமோனிக் வாய்ஸஸ் வர்சஸ் தி அண்டர் ரெப்ரசன்டட் வாய்ஸஸ், இதை டிடெக்ட் பண்ணால் மட்டும்தான் மாடர்ன் ரீடர்ஸுக்கு லிட்ரேச்சர் கேன் சர்வ் சம்திங். அதர்வைஸ் லிட்ரேச்சர் இஸ் சம்திங் தட் வி ஆல் ரீட் சம்திங் அண்ட் கெட் சம்திங். பியூட்டி இஸ் ட்ரூத், ட்ரூத் இஸ் பியூட்டின்னு இன்றைக்கி வரைக்கும் சொல்லிட்டு இருக்கிறோம். நோபடி நோஸ் த மீனிங் ஆஃப் தட் paradoxical statement. இது மாதிரியான ஒரு by hearting something and vomiting it back in the examination, literature is not for that. So modern contemporary approach to literature is to detect the lived experiences of people, whether genuine experiences of people have been represented through works of literature or not, whether this literature is worth reading or not, where is its validity, how does this literary work validate ordinary human experiences. இதெல்லாம் தெரிஞ்சு கொள்வது தான் மாடர்ன் லிட்ரேச்சர் ஸ்டூடெண்ட்டுடைய ஒரு முக்கியமான ஒரு objective-ஆக இருக்க முடியும். So with that objective, if you read literature, one thing I just conclude this by saying this thing: we all are living in a world of differences. என்னோட எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் தான் உங்களோட எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ். என்னுடைய எக்ஸ்பெக்டேஷன் படி தான் நீங்கள் எல்லாத்தையும் டெலிவர் பண்ணணும்னு நினைக்கிறோம்ல, அதை விட ஒரு வன்முறை எதுவுமே கிடையாது. எனக்கு பிடிச்சதை நான் சாப்பிட்றேன், உங்களுக்கு பிடிக்கலன்னா சாப்பிடாதீங்க. ஆனால் என்னை இதுதான் சாப்பிடணும்னு நிர்பந்திக்கிற உரிமை உங்களுக்கு இல்லை, நீங்கள் இதை சாப்பிட்டே ஆகணும்னு நிர்பந்திக்கிற உரிமை எனக்கு இல்லை. இந்த புரிதல் இருக்குல்ல, if we expect, if we respect the differences, then at last literature students should celebrate the differences. இந்த வேற்றுமை தான் மனிதனுடைய இயற்கையின் அழகும். அதுதான் ஒருத்தர் நம்மள மாதிரி இல்லைங்கிறது தான் இயற்கையோட அழகு. அந்த இயற்கையை அதற்கே உரிய அந்த தனித்துவத்தோடு அந்த வித்தியாசங்களோடு புரிந்து கொண்டால், யாரையும் நம்ம என்னோட இவன் கீழானவன், என்ன மாதிரி இவன் ஏபிள் பாடி இல்லை, இவன் டிசேபிள், இவன் தலித், இவன் ட்ரைபல், இவன் பிளாக், இவன் பொண்ணு, அதனால் இப்படி தான் இருக்கணும், இந்த எல்லா டாக்ட்ரினல் டிஸ்கோர்ஸஸும் அடிபட்டு போகிற நிலைமை only when we expect, respect and celebrate human differences through works of art, then that is the greatness of literature. So I thank again the organizers of this seminar for having invited me, and thank you so much for your listening, and thank you Professor Uday Kumar for including me in this session.
Thank you, sir, for providing a time-traveling experience across the wheels of literature from Aristotle and Plato, traveling through different ages by exploring into the contemporary world of literature. Indeed, it was an enriching discourse brimming with new visions and ideas. Thank you so much, sir.
Gratitude is the best attitude. I humbly invite Dr. Johnson Stephen, Assistant Professor, Department of English Language and Literature, to propose the vote of thanks.
Thanksgiving is not a ceremony, it is a harmony. I am much elated to propose a vote of thanks. So first of all, I would like to thank the department choir for invoking the blessings of God. Next, I would like to thank our beloved HOD, Dr. P. Veerasamy, for welcoming the gathering. Next, I would like to thank Reverend Father Secretary and Reverend Father Principal for their own felicitation as well as presidential address, and at the same time they honored our own chief guests today. I thank them in their own absence. Next, I would like to thank the STROM from Pondicherry University. So just now Sir has ended his own speech, and for the first time many of you, so including myself, many of us are listening Sir's speech. So we are happy at this occasion because we have spent our own time for almost 1.5 hours to get some fruitful knowledge. So in his own presentation, Sir has portrayed so many things. So first he started from phenomenology of Immanuel Kant and Edmund Husserl. Then he talked about how immortal experiences lies in the temporariness of things, and how Mr. Wordsworth has deconstructed 18th century language. And next he talked about and he quoted some practical quotations from or practical issues from the real life of this India. And towards the end of his own presentation, Sir has mentioned one more thing, that we have to read. So here I am thinking about the sentence of Benjamin Disraeli. So in one of his own books, Benjamin Disraeli has said, read everything, read every book, and then decide whether to keep or store this book in your own library or just throw it away. So if it is satisfying you, then keep it in your own library, otherwise just throw it away from your own house. So thank you, Dr. T. Marks, Professor and Head, Department of English, Pondicherry University. So thank you so much, sir. So next I would like to thank the plenary addressee, Dr. S. Uday Kumar sir, who is going to give his own speech after the short break. Next, I would like to thank Dr. Dayala Krishnan sir, Dr. Chandra Bose sir, Dr. P. Kalaivanan, research scholars from other colleges. They have come here to listen to this storm from Pondicherry University. So after that, I would like to thank the organizing secretary who have given me this opportunity to thank. So thank you. With these short words, I remain. Now over to MC.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, dignitaries. Now it's time for tea break. Now let us go for tea break and assemble sharply at 12. The participants and students are requested to assemble in the same venue, sharp at 12.
நம்ம வந்து ஒரு 3 வந்து அவங்க 1.5 போடுவாங்க, நம்ம இன்னொரு 1.5 நம்மளுடைய அவார்டு அக்கௌண்ட் நம்மளே கொடுப்போம். 3 எழுதி 3 போட சொல்லுவோம்.
இப்போ 7
கொடுத்துடலாம்ல? அவர் கொடுக்குறதுக்கு பணம் இருக்கா?
அதிகமாக வரும்.
இல்லை, அவருக்கு மொத்தமாக 10 கொடுக்கலான்னு சொல்லியிருந்தோம். 7 கொடுத்துருவோம். மேனேஜ் பண்ணிடலாம்ல?
நினைக்கிறேன்
ஒரு 5 கொடுங்க சார்.
as a teacher started in the year 1993. And you can imagine what is the year today? It is 2023. Almost 30 years of service he has put down for the welfare of the students. So for that itself, we can give a big clap for him. He has not only served as a teacher for all the students, but also he has upgraded himself as a best teacher. In that regard, I just want to tell that he has published almost 11 UGC Care Lister paper, 5 papers in referee journals, 13 books he has been published. Not only with that, he has also awarded certain awards, both internationally and nationally. For example, Perasir Kalaimani Award in 2019, Best Assistant Professor Award in 2019, Dr. Radhakrishnan Award in 2020, Best Faculty Award in 2021, both internationally, and also Speech Excellence Award in 2021, that is also internationally, and as an Eminent Faculty Award in 2021, as internationally. So with this also you can imagine how credible he has been a teacher. Not only that, he has also guided 14 full-time MPhil scholars and 5 part-time MPhil scholars. He has not only stopped with that, as I started with the thing, he started his career as a school teacher. Now he is as a head in MKU, as a Department of English. So you can imagine how compatible he is, that person who reached from a normal school teacher to becoming a head of the department in Madurai Kamaraj University. And today he came here with his busy schedule to give a talk on the topic Canadian Indigenous Literature Overview. I hope that his particular speech will give us an energetic presentation towards the literature. Sir, I welcome you, sir, with a wholehearted thing. Kindly, sir.
நாவிலும் பாவிலும் இலக்கிய காவிலும் நவிலும் சொற்கோவிலும் சொல்லிடும் இசையிலும் தேனினும் இனிய தெள்ளிய சுவையாய் இளங்கிடும் என் தீந்தமிழே உன்னை தொழுதேற்றி தொடங்குகின்றேன். The revered Father Secretary John Pragasham, SJ Rector, Reverend Dr. A. Anthony Sami, SJ Secretary, Reverend Dr. M. Anbarasu, SJ Principal, my dear friend Dr. Veera Sami, Head Department of English, Arul Anandar College, Dr. Kalidas, faculty members, Dr. Kalaivanan, the names I know utter here, other fellow faculty members of this department, Dr. Nalla Guruman, they are all our students of our department. Now they are guiding you here in this department. To see them, it makes us very happy. Dear scholars, students and friends, first of all I thank Chandrasekhar for having given me a very warm introduction about me to you. I thank him for his sweet words. Yes, I started as a school teacher. Now I am the head of the Department of English and Comparative Literature, MKU. It's a journey, as he mentioned, it's a journey. That journey continues with the support of my students like Kalaivanan, Nalla Guruman, and so many. I congratulate the Department of English, Arul Anandar College, for having arranged such a wonderful national seminar or conference on reconstructing language and literature, a contemporary approach. A very beautiful topic which is needed today, as our keynote addressee told you. This topic is a relevant one for the contemporary or the current world. So we are on the right track to know something about this particular topic. In this line to this, I have taken up Canadian Indigenous literature. My topic is Canadian Indigenous literature, an overview. You may think that what connectivity do we have between Canadian and Karumathur? Yeah, Canadian is a very age-old country, a very beautiful language, a wonderful culture, as same as the culture of this Kilakkichimai. This Karumathur is the head of this Kilakkichimai, so it is appropriate. It is really appropriate that we can talk about Canadian indigenous literature. What is this indigenous literature? That we will see one by one. Okay? Next. Let me start from literature. What is literature? Literature is a body of written works with aesthetic sense. See, when you are admitted in any English department, BA or MA, the first day, the first question you will be asked is, do you know anything about literature? Or you may be asked to define literature. If you are seated in PG department, you will be asked, you give your opinion about literature. Like that, the first day, first session will be started with the question of literature. Now the same question is raised here. Yeah, it is a body of written words with aesthetic sense. What is this aesthetic sense? That is the difference between human being and animal being. That is the difference between human being and animal being. The aesthetic sense only makes the difference between human being and animal being. So, literature is nothing but when you write a literature or when you read a literature, you are becoming more meaningful than as a normal creature or the ordinary creature. That is what we have written in this. Literature is a body of written works with the aesthetic sense. The name has traditionally been applied to those imaginative works of poetry and prose. When you come to poetry or prose, it is created out of our imagination only. See, in Tamil, the equivalent for literature is ilakkiyam. You may know that word ilakkiyam. What is this ilakkiyam? You break the word ilakkiyam into two. Ilakku கூட்டல் iyam. Ilakku iyam. The one which tells you about your goal is called literature according to Tamil. So, உன் வாழ்க்கைக்கான இலக்கினை இயம்புவது இலக்கியம். So, that is what literature. So, literature is nothing but a body of written letters with aesthetic sense with the purpose of telling your goal of your life. See, if you don't know anything about your goal of your life, then you cannot lead a meaningful life. So, to make your life meaningful, literature is the essential thing. So, you should be proud that you are students of literature. If you study history, what will you study? You will be studying battles and wars. If you study economics, what will you study? You will study poverty. You will study poverty or treacherous things. If you study physics or chemistry or science, you will be automatically collapsing the nature. As a literature student, you are given a flower, you will start writing a poem. Suppose the same flower is given to a botany student. What will he do? He will tear into pieces and he will say this and that is there in that literature. So that is the difference between you and other subject students. So you should feel proud that you are the students of English literature. Literature at first and English literature at the second. Why? Literature as a first, you may be a student of Tamil literature, then you will be confined to Tamil Nadu only. But when you are studying English literature, your wings are unfolded. You will be flying over the world and you will come to know knowledge about this whole world. Okay, so you should be always proud of that you are the students of English literature. Moreover, you are getting more employment opportunities also than all other subjects. Okay, so this literature gives you the goal of your life. Then, next. Why is it called literature? See, we can go etymologically. Etymologically, this literature is drawn from a Latin word, literatura. That word is not typed here. Literatura is the original word. From literatura, it started to travel from Latin to German, then German to French, then French to English. Finally, it attained the form of this word literature in English. Okay, so literatura means the use of letters. The use of letters. So this has the meaning, use of letters. But in later years, it took on the additional meaning of knowledge acquired from reading of studying books. So the word literature started from literatura, which means the use of letters. Use of letters. Use of letters means you can study maths, you can study science, you can study psychology, you can study history, economics. But how does it refer to literature things? Letters written with aesthetic sense. Letters written with aesthetic sense. So when you read books more, you will get more meaning. So automatically, the word literature acquires more meaning that acquiring knowledge from studying different kinds of books. Okay, so literature, what is literature? Then why is literature? Next. The three major types of literature. You may know that the first one is prose, the second one is poetry, and the third one is drama. What is prose? I again come to Tamil, the Tamil equivalent, prose, urai nadai. How you will speak, you write like that. Without changing the style or without any purpose, you will write what you feel. You will write how you speak, that is called prose. I have given one example there. I walked about all alone over the hillside. So this is how you speak. The same way you are writing, that is called prose. Urai nadai. How you speak will be recorded. That is called prose. Then poetry. Poetry is a type of literature or artistic writing. See the word artistic writing. It is a special way of writing that attempts to stir a reader's imagination or emotions. See, when you read prose, your emotions will not be kindled. At the same time, when you read a poem or a poetic line, your emotions will be kindled. You will say, ha, like that. That is the sweetest shock. At the end of every reading of every poem, you will get shocked. The sweet shock, that is called literary shock. Okay, that literary shock is embedded in poetic writing. See, the same word, the same sentence, I walked about all alone over the hillsides, that is written in poetry in the lines of Wordsworth. I wandered lonely, that is not wandered. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills. This is called poetry. So the same sentence, I walked all alone over the hills, is prose. But when it's rewritten by this way, in this way, it becomes poetry. So now, when you read this line, when you are taught by your professors in the class this line, you will definitely get wondered because these lines will kindle your emotions. Again, I come to Tamil equivalent. What is Tamil equivalent for poetry? Kavidai. See, Kavidai is not an ordinary word. Kavidai is not an ordinary word. In Kavidai, you leave the middle letter V. What is it? Kadai. Each poem will have its own message. That is what Kadai. Its own theme. Each poem will have its own Kadai. That is called a theme. Then leave the first word Ka. What is it? Vidai. Whenever you are reading a poem, you will be seeded a message in you. That is called Vidai. Okay, then again, Kadai, Vidai. Then Kavidai. Each poetry will have a message or theme to the society that will be seeded in your mind. That is the meaning of Kavidai. So, for poetry, you can get this kind of literary meaning from the Tamil word Kavidai. In such a way, Kavidai is written. Then, drama. What is this drama? What is the difference between other writings and drama? See, the whole literary writing can be divided into two. Dramatic writing and other literary writing. What is this dramatic writing? See, prose writing is used for reading. Poetry writing is used for enjoying. Whereas dramatic writing is used for performance. All dramatic dialogues are performed. That is performed by the actors on the stage. Whereas prose will not be performed and poetry will not be performed. Okay, now you may be able to understand the differences among these three: prose, poetry and drama. This is a very rare question you are asked now. Who introduced literature? We say that Tamil is the oldest language. Yeah. But who introduced literature? A very rare question. I have never come across this question. When I started preparing for you this lecture, I came across this question and I wanted to convey this to you because this is the right forum to tell you this, because you are all literature students. Who introduced literature in the world? The first author of literature in the world was the high priestess, a woman. See, nowadays we are talking about feminism and women's rights. But you know, the first one who introduced literature in the world is a woman. A woman, that is a priestess of Ar. That should be pronounced as Ar, U-R, Ar. Don't think that is unreserved. Ar. Ar is the name of a city. It is a name of a city in the country Sumeria. Sumeria is a country, very old country, like Canada and Tamil Nadu. In Sumeria, Ar is a city, it is not a town. It is the oldest city, one of the oldest cities. In that city, there was a church. In that church, one priestess was there. That priestess' name is Enhediona. Her lifetime is mentioned there, 2285 to 2250 BC, before the birth of Christ. See, this is the rarest information which I accidentally got it. And you can have it and you can use it. What did she do with literature? She wrote hymns in praise of the Sumerian goddesses Inanna. The goddess, again it was a goddess, not God, goddess. See, the literature was first originated from a woman, that too a priestess, that too by portraying a goddess called Inanna, Sumerian god Inanna. So this is how literature started. Next. Okay, we are talking about literature like this. What's the role of literature in our life? What is the purpose of reading literature? That we should understand. See, in your literary subjects, you might have come across so many concepts like functions of poetry, proposed by Philip Sidney. He suggests 3 functions of poetry. You must have come across this thing. What are they? There are 3 functions for poetry, according to Philip Sidney. He says, the first duty of poetry is to delight. First duty of poetry is to delight. Then teach. Then it should move. So there are 3 functions for poetry. One is delight, the second one is teach, and the third one is move. Delight, teach, move. Other readings will not make you happy. When you read a theorem in physics or a law in chemistry, you will not be happy. You cannot enjoy it. Whereas when you read the poem Daffodils or My Solitary Reaper or Wordsworth's Prelude or Paradise Lost by John Milton, you can enjoy. Though Milton's Paradise Lost depicts a tragedy, the fall of man, it says, it makes you happy. When you read it, it makes you happy. So the first duty of poetry is make you delight. So whenever you read a poem, your mind should be filled with joy. Then it should give a message. That is what teaching. So first it should make you delight, then it should teach, then it should move. What is this move? Move means it is not making you move. No. You have to follow in your life. See, in Thirukural, Thiruvalluvar says in your Karka, Kasadara, Karpavai, Katrabin, Nirka, Adarkita. What is that Nirka? Nirka means you have to adopt what you have learnt in your life. So here, a perfect poetry or literature should make you delight first, making you delighted, then it should give you a teaching. That teaching should be followed in your life in order to make the society harmonious, in order to make the society crimeless, in order to make the society a holy one. For that only literature was used. Here, out of this context, I have written 3 points. You just go through. Literature allows a person to step back in time and learn about life on earth from the ones who walked before us. See, if Thiruvalluvar has written something, he has experienced something in his life. So with that experiences, he has written Thirukural. So with that experience, we are learning so many things. So literature allows us to learn something in our life. We can gather a better understanding of culture and have a greater appreciation of them. See, now you know something which happens in our life is this is right, this is wrong, like that we are saying. How do we say? How do we come to know that this is good? See, beating others or harming others is bad. Helping others is good. How do you come to know? See, this is our culture. We should not disturb others. We should help others. So, when you come to know this culture, you come to know that this is good. And when you come to know that it is bad that you are disturbing others, or you are robbing others is bad thing, then you will not do that. So in that way, this literature gives you enlightenment and insight into the good things and bad things. And according to that, you will lead your life. So literature is a very great guide to you. That is why in Tamil, it is called Ilakkiyam. Ilakkine iyambuvadu Ilakkiyam. That is called literature. One who knows literature is a literate one. One who knows literature is a literate one. So like that, literature plays a very vital role in our human evolution and life. So we learn through the ways history is recorded in the forms of manuscripts and through speech itself. So we learn everything in the form of prose or poetry or drama. You are given all messages, not in prose, not in other subjects. See, who teaches you that you should be good? The Tamil teacher and English teacher only will say. Even your parents will not say like that. Parents will not say that in your home. But the teachers have the responsibility. Those who teach Tamil and English have the responsibility to guide you because they teach you literature. such guidances will not be gotten from science teacher or history teacher or some other teachers. Okay, so literature is the perfect guide. Next. That is why we learn literature. Now let me come into Canadian literature. What is this Canadian literature? Actually, Canadian is a very big country that you may know, adjacent to America. Adjacent to America, North America, that is. In Canada, that is a coldest country. Canada is a coldest country. So what happens, some people have already settled there. They started from Asia, that is from India. They are called early settlers. After that, some people settled there. Why? Because I told, Canada is a coldest country. So people from France and people from England, they went there for fur trading. What is for fur trading? They make woolen sweaters. They make woolen sweaters, woolen clothes, and they will sell them. They will sell them in Canada. For that, they went to Canada from France. So the first people who went Canada are French people from France. So they settled there and they married those Canadian native women. They married Canadian native women for their life. And from them, another race was created that is called Métis. M-E-T-I-S, Métis. Métis, okay. So then again, people from England also went there and they colonized. How India was colonized once here. In the same way, Canada was also colonized. And those people, again, they settled there in Canada and married these native Indian women in Canada, and they created another race called Cree. One is Métis and another one is Cree. Okay, so because of this mixture, they started writing in French. They started writing literature in French, and they started writing in English. That is called Canadian French and Canadian English. Canadian French and Canadian English. Okay. The Canadian literatures which were written in both these languages and the native languages are called Canadian literature. Okay. See how they started writing in Canadian French and Canadian English. I told you the history. Okay, the people from France went there for fur trading and settled there, and from them they created one race called Métis. So they started writing Canadian French. And the people who came from England, they also created another race, and they started writing in Canadian English. And native languages, in native languages also they wrote, many people wrote. So there are three different types of literature in Canadian literature. So literary pieces written in Canadian French and Canadian English and the native languages. Okay, so there are three kinds of literary pieces. All these comprise Canadian literature. Next. Now I come to indigenous literature. What is this indigenous literature? See, English people write for themselves in Canada. That is white literature. That is called white literature. And again, English people wrote the plight of Canadian native people. See, English people wrote literary pieces, novels, poetry, this and that, about the life of white people. That is called Canadian white literature. And again, English people, some English people wrote literature depicting the life of Canadian native people. That is also white literature, because that was written by Canadian white people. Okay. Then the third one is the Canadian native people wrote for themselves. Canadian native people wrote for themselves. That is called indigenous literature. Now we can understand that indigenous is nothing but literature is written by the native people depicting the life of the native people. So we are writing for ourselves. We are writing for our students. That is called indigenous literature. That is what here it is given. So now I hope I have given enough definition for indigenous literature. Next. Any problem? Next slide. After indigenous. See, impact of colonization on oral literature. Impact of colonization. See, every literature starts from oral literature only. That you should understand. Every literature starts from oral literature. See, in the early periods, there were no writing. They did not know of writing. So they started telling everything. Ramayana, Mahabharata, everything was oral literature only. Everything was oral literature only. So all literatures were constructed based on the oral literature only. Okay. So what impact was created upon this oral literature by colonization? That let us see. See, when the British and French colonized the land that is now Canada, settlers prioritized written literature over oral literature. Now you understand. See how actually the alien culture was inflicted into Canada because of colonization by France and colonization by England. Okay. So what happens? They introduced printing machines there. They are writing something. So far, literature was oral. With the intervention of these kind of French people and English people, they started writing. But these foreign people exposed that written literature was good or better than the oral literature. Like that they created a picture. See how English language is so powerful, stylistic than Tamil. Like that only we are introducing. See, that is why all people go to English medium schools. I studied in Tamil medium only. During our time, we could go only to Tamil medium schools. But in the later years, because of English colonization, what happened? Many people started studying in English medium schools, showing that English is the better language, prestigious language. Okay, so this is how it happened. This is how that cultural invasion happened in Canada, like in Tamil Nadu, like in India. Okay, so they inflicted a bias that oral must be uncivilized. Any literary piece which is in oral is uncivilized. If it is written, that is civilized. Like that they created an illusion. Then today many indigenous societies rely on oral tradition as a tool for expression and knowledge transmission despite having adopted written literature. See, it is a developmental stage. Adopting written literature or written language is a developmental stage. But how it started? It started as oral only. Everything started orally. After that only the written form comes. So, in the later years, written language was considered as better one. But many truths, underlying truths, cultural facts are embedded only in oral literature. So, in the later years, again we go back to find out the cultural facts of our language, not only our language, in Canadian also languages, and they started constructing the cultural facts based on their oral literature. Okay. So for over a century, the government of Canada has controlled and regulated indigenous cultural practices in the form of policy and regulation. See, what is our culture? Let us take one example from our culture. What was our culture once? See, during on Fridays, our women usually will have a head bath using sihaikai and arapu. Using sihaikai, that is called sihaikai. Many people say siyakai. That is not siyakai, that is called sihaikai. That is a vegetable like one or fruit like it is grow from trees. Okay, that will be plucked and that will be grinded in our oral, the old oral with vendayam, adding vendayam. That powder is called sihaikai. That is not Siyakai, Siyakai. Another form is Arapu. Some green leaves are taken and dried under the sun, and finally it will be grinded. What will happen? That will become powder, a green powder. We used to have either Sihekai or Arapu for our head bath. But what happens now? Do you know anything about Sihekai and Arapu? Have you ever used in your life? Or will you ever use? You will never ever use our traditional thing, because we were wrongly taught. We were wrongly taught that using shampoo is the good one. That is the fashion one. What is this? You are using Siyakai and Arapu. Are you old lady? Like that they will ask nowadays. See, it is not related to age. Using all these cultural things are not related to age. That is related to our health. Okay, but what happens, you are using different kinds of shampoo with proper names. See, some shampoo, one particular shampoo is called Head and Shoulder. What do you mean by that? When you use that shampoo, all your hair from head, it will fall to your shoulder. That is why it is called Head and Shoulder. Are you able to understand me? Then another, you can say some of the names I can give you. Couldn't get it. Clinic Plus, all clear shampoo. All clear shampoo. What do you mean by that? When you apply that shampoo, all your hair will be cleared. Then what is this Clinic Plus? Then you will go for treatment. No. See, after all your hair fall down, what will happen? Then you will go to clinics. Not one clinic, Clinic Plus. You have to add more number of clinics in order to retain your hair. So they indirectly telling you that if you use such shampoos, you will have the consequences like this. But even then, in order to maintain our modernity and a stylish look, we are using that. And have you ever questioned the sentence of Fair and Lovely? Aare varathil chigapalage. One advertisement comes. My friend, one who is so black, he uses Fair and Lovely from he is 6 years old. Now he is 60 years old. His color never changes. But have you ever questioned that you are advertising that it did not happen. Have you ever gone to court against this? Against this advertisement? No, because we are modern people, we will go like that only. See, like this, we are losing our culture. Where do we have all these cultural facts? We have all these cultural facts in our oral literature only. Oral literature, okay? Then, next. The residential school system. See how schools are used to do the cultural murder, or cultural genocide. See, because of English medium schools, we lost our culture. There also, one particular school was established called residential school. What was it? Residential school. See, when English people dominated Canada, they got the power. They started ruling Canada. Then, in order to curb the cultural tie-up with the older generation and younger generation, they separated the children from Indian family. Indian family means the early Canadian family. They separated the children from the family and they placed them in a the cultural tie-up, cultural heritage, cultural tradition. Okay, so that residential schools were used to sever ties between the older generation and the younger generation. So younger generation was completely blocked from knowing the old cultural facts. So by that way, the young generation was completely blocked to know about their tradition. So in that way, they inflicted their own foreign culture. See, now it is not our dress, See, the dress we wear now is not it is not ours. We should wear dhoti and you should wear saris, but now we say sari to saris because of white culture. So here the residential schools were used to do a cultural genocide, perform a cultural genocide, the residential school. How do we come to know all these things? We come to know of all these things through indigenous literature. I told you, there are three kinds of literatures: Canadian French, that is Canadian French and white, the literature which was called white literature. White literature, a literature written by white people for the white life, that is called white literature. And white people wrote for native people, that was not much effective and impact creating. After that, the Canadian native women or native people themselves started writing for themselves. So that is why I gave this title indigenous writing. Indigenous writing is nothing but created for our own. How Abraham Lincoln says, a government of people, for the people and by the people. And the same way, literature of people, for the people and by the people. I can quote some of one or two literary pieces written by two native writers, Maria Campbell's Half-Breed. Maria Campbell was a writer. She actually a native woman. She underwent a lot of sufferings because of white superiority, and her whole family was separated. They lost her father, mother, and his siblings. She underwent a lot of sufferings. So that was recorded by herself. With fictitious quality. So that has become a very famous novel in Canada, and that was glorified in the world as a very good novel. Okay, so that was called indigenous writing. That is, the writer Maria Campbell underwent so many sufferings in her own life, and she herself wrote the novel for herself. Okay, so this is called indigenous writing. Likewise, there are so many things we have got. Please, next. I would like to say one or two indigenous writings by different races. I am introducing 4 words for you. First one is Mi'kmaq. Mi'kmaq. What is this Mi'kmaq? I give you one parallel example here. See, we are living in Tamil Nadu, but you know, the people, those who live in Coimbatore are called Kongu people. Kongu people, isn't it? Okay, so in the same way, some people living in a particular area are called Mi'kmaq. People living in a particular area in Canada are called Mi'kmaq, and their language is also called Mi'kmaq. Okay, that language is spoken by some 8,000 people only today. But you know, their culture is completely expressed in their writings, not in any other writings, in their writings only, by the same people. So, Mi'kmaq is a group of people living in a particular area in Canada, and they are speaking this particular language. The number of people, those who speak this language is 8,000 only, just 8,000 only. But they are very rich in their culture. How do we come to know? Through their literature only. So that literature is called indigenous literature. I have quoted some writers here, Rita Jo, then Lindsay Marshall, Shirley Beer, Teresa Marshall. So such people are Mi'kmaq writers in Mi'kmaq knowledge, Mi'kmaq language. Next. Then Mohawk literature. Mohawk is a language. Mohawk is a Canadian language, one of the Canadian languages. There is one particular genre is there. That genre is called creation story. In Mohawk literature, you can find creation stories. What is this creation stories? They will tell stories regarding creation of this universe. If you type creation stories in the net, Google, it will give you so many stories. All stories are explaining about the creation of this universe or this earth, creation of this earth. So, first one was Mi'kmaq, the second one is Mohawk. Okay, in USA, some 7,000 people are speaking this particular language, but in Canada, some 44,000 people are speaking this language. Next. Ojibwe literature. Ojibwe, again it is another language. I told you I would like to introduce 4 different terms which you might not have heard. So this is the third term is called Ojibwe literature. Ojibwe. This is also one of the oldest language. All these languages come under one family that is called, I have written in this, one different word that is. If you go through, you can get it. Okay. Alaganka, like that one name that is. So under that particular name, 40 languages are there. Not 1 or 2. 40 languages come under that particular. All these literatures are called indigenous literature. Because in these languages, those people only can write. Those who speak, the native people know, they only can write novels or anything in their language. Okay? Here, Hayden Taylor, some other writers are there for this. Author George Copway. They are using, see, this is a different one. They are telling in their stories about the creation of this universe. You can find number of stories there. All stories will say only about universe, creation of this earth. Okay, that is stories. You cannot compare that with the scientific facts. But however they are stories, such stories are called creation stories. Next, Cree literature. Cree. Actually, it is the mother tongue of the people Métis. Métis, on another race. I told the race which was created with the blending of French fathers and Canadian native mothers. Okay, so that particular race is called a Métis. That Métis people will speak this Cree, but in residential schools, the Métis people were not allowed to speak their mother tongue. So that was the problem they faced. After a lot of suppressants and compressions, some people started writing something explaining the plight of their own people. So all indigenous writings, it will not say their pleasant memories or pleasant experiences. These indigenous people or these indigenous literatures will say their worrying conditions, their pathetic conditions. Okay, so all indigenous writings are the real literatures, we can say. Others are exposing. We will use imagination. But these indigenous people know they will always write about their plight, their sufferings in their life. So, Cree literature. I told see, these are the 4 different types of indigenous literature which were found in Canadian literature. So, with this, I would like to end up my session. You please, at this juncture, I would like to request you all to have a concentration on indigenous writings. A concentration on indigenous writings. Okay, you have to pay attention towards indigenous writings. Then only you can find out your own culture. Suppose you concentrate on Tamil literature written by Tamil people, then you will understand the Tamil culture. Okay, so with this small note, let me conclude this session. I thank Anandar for having given me this opportunity and for your passive listening. Thank you.
So at this juncture, I would like to thank our Deputy Principal, Dr. A. Sundaraj, for his valuable presence.
Thank you very much, sir, for your thought-provoking speech on the topic indigenous Canadian literature. So I hope that our students has got some knowledge regarding this indigenous. But before the indigenous, I just want to thank Sir because he has brought forth all the literary themes, starting from the prose, poetry, and drama. So it is not only the introduction of indigenous Canadian literature, it is also the introduction of the whole literature. So it's a kind of eye-opener for our students. I thank you for that, sir. And also I thank for certain detailed things. And I myself got agitated by the question, who introduced the literature in the world? Because for the first time I'm also hearing this word in Heduna. So thank you very much for that also, sir. And as far as the Canadian literature is concerned, it is not only about the Canadian literature. We come to know that there are Canadian French, Canadian English, and also the native Canadian literature. So these are the three things which Sir has put the focus on. And I thank from my wholehearted thing. Thank you very much, sir, for this thing. And I hope that you will get some knowledge based on this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable presence and for your meticulous presentation.